going on, everybody? John here with you. It's a Saturday, May 17th, 2025. How's everybody doing out there today? For Scott O'Neill's squad, it is the Winnipeg Peon. Adam Lowry, Neil Niederreiter, Mason Appleton, Morgan Barron, Brandon Tanev, Alex Scheifele, with Aiden Fleury and Luke Shin. Connor Hellebuyck will be the goaltender of record per usual. For the Dallas Stars, head coach for Peter DeBoer, they got a 3-2 lead in this series. It's part of the Finnish Mafia that's been playing very well. Roope Hintz, Mikael Granlund, Mika Rantanen, Miro Heiskanen, and a Thomas Harley. Matt Duchene, Jay Ben, Tyler Seguin, with Estel Lindell, Cody Ceci, Wyatt Johnson, Jason Robertson, Ilya Labushkin, Sam Steele, Mason Marchment, Evgeny Dodonov. And you have the mix of Jake Ottinger in the net again. As it is, Alec, again, I'll get to the lead story, and that's some sad news, but it's also some positivity there for the Jets as well, because Mark Scheifele is going to go ahead and play. But the lead story before it in the actual part of the ice is the Winnipeg Jets is 6-1 at home. They're 0-5 on the road. They have not won a road playoff game in 3 years. Do you think that changes tonight?
And while the Jets are preparing for Game 6 tonight, it might be the emotional spark that they need right after the unexpected tragedy that happened earlier today and last night, because Mark Scheifele's father, Brad, unexpectedly passed away. Adam Lowry grew up alongside Mark in the organization and said that Brad's energy was unmatched. And to quote him, his joy is an excitement for life. He really passed that down to Mark. His positivity, his outlook on life, just a genuinely happy person. It's a terrible loss. Our condolences go out to Mary Lou, Janelle, Kyle, the whole Scheifele family. And that is the reality of the situation. Not only were the Jets going down 3-1 in this series, but they're having to play through emotions, a rush of emotions, having to go through a loss. Our condolences go out to the Scheifele family and the entire Jets organization. Playing for a loved one that passed away and trying to keep your season alive is something that any team wouldn't want to go up against, but as is seen 11 years ago with the New York Rangers when Martin St. Louis' mom, who unexpectedly passed away during the Eastern Conference Semifinals series between the Rangers and Pittsburgh Penguins, sometimes it's an emotional spark. Sometimes that could be the storylines and the driving force behind such a comeback from a series. We don't know if that's going to be the case, but this series is not just about the Jets, but also about Scheifele. They're playing for his dad.
Yeah, well, I'm going to get to that in a moment, and great points by you, Alec, as always, because I have some information that I want to share as well. So the 2 wins for Winnipeg in this series, one at home, on both decided at home, but both 4-0. Hellebuyck was able to get 2 shutouts, 22-22, 21-21. Again, we know the home and road splits are completely different. For Dallas, again, 3-2, 5-2, and 3-1 wins. And really, Dallas has been able to do this without secondary goal scoring. And that's Tyler Seguin, Wyatt Johnson, Jamie Benn. Been talking about that as well. We haven't really seen those names get on the forefront of the score sheet, and yet Dallas has been able to take care of their business. So as you mentioned, Game 6 in Dallas, and it's very interesting because when you look about it, you see some of the things on social media and you want to stay away from some of the poison. You want to try to find some good things. Like I always say, you read, you watch, you listen, and you kind of take everything with a grain of salt. But I did notice that some of the Stars fans are offering number 55, Mark Scheifele's number, donations in his honor for his dad, Brad, which I think is a great service for them. And I know some people will be asking, again, I haven't lost immediate family members, but I'm sure getting close in age for some of them, whether or not you'd want to be able to go out and play in a game like this. And I can speak from experience, at least for traveling with a lot of hockey teams, stuff that I've done with the Sharks and everyone else. It's a family affair. Alec knows this as well. When you get into anything in the NHL, anything hockey related, you always have your parents that take you up to the rinks early in the morning. You get all your practices. You do everything that's done. It's in their family. It's in their blood. It's in their tradition. You know, Brad would want him to play today. Mark's going to play with a heavy heart. And as all hockey parents would, it's important. You're going to play it. You suit up. You do everything else you need to do. So I hope Mark goes out there, Alex, scores a hat trick, has fun, and gives the Jets a good opportunity to win this and try to get to Game 7.
Yeah, I hope so too. While we were anticipating a Stars-Oilers Western Conference final initially, this game is about Mark Scheifele. This game means more than just a playoff game. This is about him. This is about his family. This is about everything that he has loved and about and all the love that he has dedicated towards this sport and with all his family behind his back. The team playing behind a motivated Mark Scheifele. Whether or not he was going to play tonight was up to his decision in and of himself. If he was going to not play this game, I completely understand. If he wants to play this game, I understand as well. Bottom line. But still, he made the decision himself because of the emotion, because he wants to do what his father wants him to do. Play.
So as we go through it and throughout this series, again, we saw a little bit in Game 6 in the mix of Scheifele and Ben. There were some punches thrown. Scheifele with a hole. Ben got a big punch, knocked Scheifele down alongside with the linesman. So there was some interesting there. I will say this about Jimmy Benn. I mentioned it before with the cross-check on Dylan Larkin that started his back issues, some of the stuff in Vegas when he left out early, got suspended. He has been riding on the wrong side of the law sometimes, does Jimmy Benn, and his motions do get the best of him at times. If Winnipeg does get out to the front of the jump, it's not like Jimmy Benn has really been dominating in this series. I would be interested to see if Peter DeBoer and the rest of the team alongside Jimmy Benn keeps their composure because he's not always done so. But we have not seen the Winnipeg Jets be able to play to their forefront. As we said, 0-5 on the road. The splits, when you're given about 5 goals per game on that side, never really work out in your favor there. But I do want to make note of this. Nick Ehlers in this series, Alec, has already had 2 games, in Games 2 and Games 5, where he's had multi-goal games. I think he's played very well, all things considered.
All things considered, the Jets, they're playing aggressive and smash-mouth hockey and keeping the series afloat. Of course, we know about Kyle Connor with 11 points in his 8 elimination games in his NHL career. He's been the driving force of this offense, he and Mark Scheifele. But Nikolai Ehlers has been outstanding too, already with 5 goals in this series. And he's been solid ever since he returned to the lineup in Game 6 against St. Louis. Dallas, they need contributions outside of the Finnish Mafia. It's not like everyone else is any slouches, but Mikko Rantanen, Michael Granlund, Roope Hintz, they can't do it all. They need that secondary scoring, especially from the likes of Jamie Benn, Tyler Seguin, and Matt Duchene, that second line. And not to mention that Jason Robertson, he only has 1 point in the 5 games since he returned to the lineup.
Yeah, and I would say more so going forward, Alec, would be my point for the second line, as you mentioned. They're going to need that when they're playing against the Oilers, if they get to that point. They're going to need that when they play in the Stanley Cup Finals, if they get to that point. I know I ended up getting a chance to have you close out last time, but if you want to close out again, you can. If you want to lead the first, how do you want to do this today?
Let's switch it all around.
Okay, so I'll get an opportunity here to start this again, or you can start it and we can figure it out what we want to do. All I want to see is Connor Hellebuyck try to improve on that. 584, 0-5 on the road, and a 793 save percentage. Unlike him, if he gets one good road game, that might be enough.
And Jake Ottinger, after a loss, has been sharp. 17-6, 203 GAA, and a 924 save percentage throughout his playoff career. He's one of the best goalies after a loss. And don't forget about Mikko Rantanen. He's likely the Conn Smythe Trophy favorite right now of postseason leading 19 points. That's ahead of the likes of Connor McDavid.
Yes, it is. There's some big names. We're expecting a big game. There's a lot on the line. The Jets season's on the line. Alec, you can get set to take it away.
So we have the opening faceoff. Francois St. Laurent and Dan O'Rourke are referees. Puck drop is there, and an emotional Mark Scheifele wins the first faceoff. How are the Jets going to fare in this emotional game right around them as they start with the top line? Elsa Lindell gets this one out, moves it up for Granlund. Already they're starting with the Finnish Mafia. Pass intended for Hits was cut off by who else? Chopped away in a turnover. Stopped by Hellebuyck, and he is on his A game early.
Yeah, it was a good forechecking alongside with Roope Hintz, who does it all. To leave it on the other side for Mikko Rantanen, as you mentioned, with the Finnish Mafia. They can start with speed. That was a pretty good save, as you mentioned. Close the 5-hole near the left dot.
And then we talk about Hellebuyck need to improve on his numbers on the road. In its last 9 road games, 550 GAA, 831 save percentage. In its last 5, 584, 793 respectively. Those need to improve.
Yeah, they do, because again, we mentioned alongside Connor Hellebuyck, who's likely out going to win a third Vezina. If he just gets one of these strong road games to be able to will his team back to the Canada Life Center, He's been lights out at home.
He has shutouts in back-to-back home games this postseason. We have yet to see if a possible Game 7 could go that way. Face-off 1, too clean, and it exits out to the neutral zone, and Tyler Seguin shoots it inside. Connor Hellebuyck will slow it down and throw this towards the far side where the Stars hold the zone. Seguin fires it right off the pads of Hellebuyck. Harley kept it inside off the scramble. And this one chipped over to the far corner. The Jets clear this one out. Fed up front, and Harley gets this right onto a waiting Kyle Connor, who backhands this one around, or was that Cole Perfetti, rather? Yes, it was. Ehlers wanted to send it to Perfetti. All he found was Tyler Seguin. Bent over skates, and it will be brought back in by Perfetti. Game 7 hero, one of two of them. Well, one of three, rather, because of Vladimir Mestikov and Adam Lowry in a Game 7 Manitoba miracle, as this is chipped inside by Rantanen. The hungry Moose, as he gets knocked down by Neil Pionk, and they cough up the puck. Scheifele's back out there. Scheifele give and go for Connor. Wants to deliver it back over to Scheifele. Gabe Vilardi sets up right off the side of the cage, and held inside by Winnipeg just for a brief moment as Rantanen brings this one out. Winnipeg chops it away on the backhand for an open Scheifele, and it is taken back by Connor. Connor drops this one out for Pionk. Neil Pionk waits with the puck. Pionk surveys his options and delivers it cross ice for Sandberg, deflected up by Nino Niederreiter as the third line is out there for the first time for Winnipeg. Niederreiter tied up at the far side, and that allows Evgeny Dadonov to move it up the far side to the ice, and the Stars are offside.
Yeah, Mason Marchment is furious. He thought there was maybe a chance we could get a stride and a half, but he was off convincingly, Alec.
Yes, he was. He's trying to plead his case, but there was no such case there, and already the Jets are doing it all on the defensive zone. Josh Morrissey blocking a pass right off his skate.
That's the best thing that we talked about going into this, Alec. If the Jets can find a way to play at home and find that way to translate it on the road, it starts with good defense in front of your netminder.
And Connor Hellebuyck, when he does not allow a goal in the first period this postseason, he's 2-1. And his numbers have been sharp when he doesn't allow a goal in the postseason. The only loss has been in Game 1 of this series, where both teams were scoreless after the first period. Up the far half boards, they gave it away. Dallas tried to come back with this as Steele was stick lifted just in time. Hayden Fleury filled in admirably in the absence of Logan Stanley, and he has been a solid third-pairing defenseman right next to Luke Shen or Colin Miller. Lowry trying to fire it around Bishop, but can't. Lowry's pass was cut off at the near half boards, and Marchment brings it out. Marchment will skate this one across. Marchment overskates the puck as there is a massive humanity along the far half boards, right near the Winnipeg bench. This one fired around 2-on-3. Chasing after it to retrieve his own dump in is Morgan Barron, the ex-Ranger. From the far corner, delivered onto the near corner side, and Dallas does get this one out, trying to split the defense here. Rantanen, Hintz gets laid out right at the front of the goal, and he gets back up on his skates. Granlund centers up front, and Hintz gets brought down again, and it appears we do have a penalty as Hintz was getting bullied on the ice.
Yes, he was. I know Dallas didn't like the sound of it all that, but I could see early here for Alec in the mix of Dallas. They're just throwing all the shots that they can at the net right now, trying to make things uncomfortable here for Hellebuyck at the moment.
And Scott Arniel, the first-year head coach of the Winnipeg Jets, he actually has been in a previous stint with the Columbus Blue Jackets. That didn't go all too swimmingly, though. We're not getting a penalty. I thought there was going to be one, John. How bizarre.
Yeah, me too. I apologize for that. We're going to be playing 5-on-5.
They're going with Robertson, Rantanen, and Johnston here for this faceoff. And it is won by Rantanen. Right side, Heiskanen wants to deliver this one around. Heiskanen, long straightaway shot. Might have been blocked wide. Harley on the hold. Gets knocked off the puck. And Connor gets this one out. Miller Heiskanen will restart. Peter DeBoer going with 11 forwards and 7 defensemen ever since Heiskanen returned to the lineup. Nothing wrong with that, as you have 7 defensemen that can be serviceable for your squad. Ilya Labushkin is the 7th defenseman. Rantanen fires it, kicked out by Hellebuyck. On the near corner, Rantanen tried to gain positioning on Pionk. Perfetti wants to pry it free. Rantanen sees one go too far of him, and it's Sandberg with it. Sandberg back for Pionk, as both teams make their changes, and Sandberg heads to the bench end of his shift. New players on the ice, including Mark Scheifele, the lone shot belonging to the Dallas Stars. Up the near side, here is Kyle Connor. Overskate for a moment, brings this one back to himself. Backhands around the boards for Scheifele. Evades Duchesne. Scheifele around for Connor. Connor towards the left point for Morrissey, and it's DeMello. Throws one towards the net, and that is kicked out by Ottinger. And on the far side, Morrissey keeps it inside. Scheifele. Mark Scheifele prices on for the near corner to DeMello. DeMello airmails this shot, and it hits the mesh.
Well, we can see already from our previous game in the mix between Carolina that the defense and everything else is going to matter here between Washington, Carolina, and Dallas and Winnipeg, because all these chances trying to create space out in front, take the eyes away from these netminders. We're seeing that early here in almost the first 5 minutes.
And that was the theme of last night's Toronto-Florida game, and one that Toronto desperately needed. And what a game that was from Joseph Woll. So all of a sudden, it feels like elimination game Joseph Woll plays like Dominik Hasek, and so far he has in 5 career elimination games. Dallas has 5 straight home wins, and they've outscored opponents 22-10 in that span. The only loss they've had at home was Game 1 against Colorado, but ever since, they've won every single game as we get a stoppage.
Yeah, and it's really hard for Dallas to even lose a couple of games in a row. I don't think they've done so in the postseason yet, Alec, and as you mentioned, alongside with Toronto. I was telling you after that 6-1, I didn't see any way for the Maple Leafs to come back and bounce back the way that they did, but also big on Austin Matthews. Finally got a goal in the second round.
And the deal was sealed by Max Pacioretty with the second goal of that game for Toronto, which was the insurance marker. That was a defensive statement by Craig Berube's troops. Mason Appleton picks it up at the far corner on the dump and gets shoved down. Winnipeg holds his own as they bounce this one around on the near half boards where Duchesne gets blown up. Take it inside to Donov. The Donov of a look. The Donov gets forced to the outside. Wraparound attempt. Hellebuck. Oh my goodness. On the car crash towards the side of the cage.
You got Shen, Fleury, everyone else. Now we might actually get a call. Like, when it's definitive, as Zdonov wraps it toward the right side post, he gets a piece of it, closes the 5-hole, Sam Steele trying to pry that puck loose and put it across the goal line, but the Commerce, Michigan Township native was a steel trap, didn't let it go.
He was not wanting to get anything against him there. For all to talk about his road woes, I feel he's found something in which he has regained his swagger with the back-to-back shutouts at home. But can that mojo be carried on to home? But Neil Pionk believes that Winnipeg has played well enough in Game 4 to potentially take a road game here.
So we're still going to stay 5-on-5 here, and you're exactly right. You got to find a way to get some of that swagger back. And Connor Hellebuck in the previous sequence was just talking with the Zebras to make sure to keep that front of the net clean.
That's what both goaltenders want between Hellebuck and Ottinger, who's going to be much of the conversation for the U.S. Olympic squad next year when they get to Milano Cortina. 2 shutouts in this series. The second time in his career which he's recorded 2 playoff shutouts in the same series. The other one being his first ever playoff series, 2018, in the West quarterfinals against Minnesota. Tie up at the far corner as both teams are primed for the loose puck. Harley gets boxed out and Brandon Tanev will keep it inside. Tanev has yet to score a point here in this postseason as Pionk rushes up to the near half boards to keep this one inside off the tie-up. And this will be bounced up for Heiskanen, who'll rush it down the near side. Poked away to keep it out the Winnipeg zone. Granlund gets tied up and escaping with it is Morgan Barron. Right back for Pionk at his own zone, who waits and it will set up shop up front for Ehlers. Nick Ehlers takes it inside. Ehlers slaps it right over the glove of Ottinger. Out inside, here's Perfetti. He wanted to go to the slot. Nobody there. And now this is Jamie Benn. Closed off, and Winnipeg's physical defense forces an offside.
I will say this, as you mentioned, alongside the Olympic play, the United States could do a lot worse, Alec, than have Hellebuck and Ottinger. You can use it as 1A, 1B as far as your starters. But off that previous move entering the zone, I absolutely love that move from Ehlers. He just unloads the clapper, and Ottinger had to step up big.
I remember when Evgeny Malkin made scored a shorthanded goal in which it was a slap shot on a breakaway. That was an angry clapper in which he was saying, "Take that, Philadelphia," right after he got blown up by Randy Jones during a Philadelphia power play. On the near side, Vlad Namestnikov, a former Tampa Bay Lightning member. Here's Nikolai Ehlers backhanding one to Perfetti. That pass was blocked off by Lyubushkin. Namestnikov kept it inside the zone for Perfetti. Perfetti backed all the way up. Line to go to Ehlers. It was closed off by Sagan and Lindell. Lindell will go to Lyubushkin. 7th defenseman on this team. for Ben. Well, enter this one inside for Duchesne, who gets closed off. And so far, Winnipeg is matching everything that Dallas is throwing at them. So far, it's been much of the same tape as what was seen at the beginning of yesterday's game. That both defenses are wearing each other down, and neither team is really getting that much chance at the net. But Dallas could get something here with Robertson. Robertson will drop back for Cody Ceci. Ceci's shot was off a block on the near corner. Pionk wanting to get this one out. Harley just held inside for a split second before Dallas reclaims it outside their zone. 7 minutes gone in this opening frame, just one shot, and that came from Dallas. Harley gets spun. Robertson holds on the far corner. Ceci pinching off for Robertson. There's a loose stick on the ice. Away from Luke Shen. Send it past to Donov. Oh, that was close. Hellebuck may have got a piece. Fleury tangled up at the far corner. Bounces off the broken stick. He'll get it back. Off the near boards. Harley gloved it down, and he gets blown up. Right back onto the neutral zone near the penalty box. And Sam Steele brings this one back inside off the spin. Niederreiter back to bring it. Pionk with Steele chasing after him. We'll go rink wide for Sandberg. And Sandberg fires the one inside off the stick of Ottinger. That was Niederreiter, rather. For the far side, this takes a bounce. And this will be up the ice. Pionk giving chase. Will this be enough for an icing? No. Hellebuck places one out, knowing the situation. Dallas is hurried up, firing this one around for the far boards. And on the near side is Mason Appleton, the Green Bay, Wisconsin native. This takes a bounce. Recollected by Winnipeg. Back for Pionk. Back deep is Sandberg. And fired inside for Niederreiter, the Chur, Switzerland native. Sandberg for Pionk, and then back for Niederreiter. As he moves up the right side for Appleton. Appleton throws one off Ottinger. Lowry keeps it inside. Drop pass off for Morrissey. Morrissey walks in, fires it, and that one off Hellebuck. Off the far corner, Rantanen back on the ice. Pries it free. And the Finnish Mafia going to work here. Granlund sends the puck to the far corner. Rope hits, and one of the Jets tangles up, hits. I don't believe there's an arm up in the air for the officials. Fans angry. They thought that there should have been a penalty. We say 5-on-5. And off the 2-on-2, Iafallo sends it to the far corner. Harley slams Tanev towards the far corner. Tie up. And Dallas will take it away off a blown Winnipeg tire. For the near side, Heiskanen drops for Duchesne. Duchesne fires it. Blocked in front. Swept away on the backhand, but kept inside. High slot. Backhander. Missed it all. Held inside by Duchesne. Right circle. Cross-ice pass for Sagan. Heiskanen ready sub for a one-timer option. Pass across for Harley. Harley continues to hold. Heiskanen, does he have a lane? One-timer, Ben, blocked. Rebound, that's well blocked. Tanev at the far corner, doesn't pick it up. One of the Jets goes down. Heiskanen wanted to swat away on the backhand. It's behind Hellebuck off the broken stick. We're nearly at the halfway mark of the first period, and still no whistle. Luke Shen, his teammate, clears it out, and the fans jeering the refs of the no call on the Granlund takedown. Up the middle is Robertson. Robertson flips it right onto Hellebuck, who catches it at the shortstop position.
My, oh my, Alec, take a breath. Excellent job by you, as always. This was a couple opportunities for a one-time. We're not sure how Dodonov completely missed that one, as it was picked up the other way. There was an interesting sequence while all that was going on. Kyle Carter wanted to take a change. He wanted to get off the ice. And Shin said, hey, before you do that, give me a stick because mine's been stuck behind the net for about 3.5 minutes as the play was continuing. And now we go to break.
Well, it is a chance for a breather. Oh, so someone let these two teams know that they need to relax at one point. But, you know, it is the playoffs. There might barely be enough time for relaxing, especially with the situation both teams are in, especially Winnipeg.
I love the pace of this game, Alec. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't know if it's going to stay that way throughout this whole thing. Maybe the second period I'll get a little bit of a breather myself. But, yeah, we've had the action right on top of us. There's been a lot of shots that have not hit the net or have been blocked because both of these teams have been able to play at a pace and still play defense. But I'm with you. On the right side of the boards, as Rope Hintz was looking to go brace for that, he had to brace against the right side red line because he got absolutely taken down. And during your play-by-play, I'm looking over to see if the referee's going to put a hand in the air, and I was surprised he did not. Honestly, for the amount of penalties we think we probably could have seen, Alec, you and I thought we called some that weren't there already. There could have been at least 3.
At least, because there could have been a penalty easily on that Ropey Hintz play. I thought it was Granlund looking back at it. No, it was Hintz, but man, oh man. The action has been so intense here, and the pace. So I know for a fact that the defenses, they've been both doing an excellent job wearing each other out. This kind of felt like the start of Toronto, Florida last night.
Yeah, and we'll see if that's going to maintain. Honestly, I did not expect to end up being busy on the Sunday, but I'll be glad to work that Game 7. I'm sure you're going to be joining me for that one, and we're going to have some fun with it. We're also going to have another Game 7, but on the hardwood, in between Denver and Oklahoma City. I know we'll talk about that in the intermission.
Yeah, that's going to be on the afternoon side, 3:30 Eastern Time tomorrow, while Game 7 of Toronto, Florida taking center stage, and why wouldn't it? Well, and there are certain records at stake. That Paul Maurice is a perfect 5-0 in Game 7. Toronto has not won a Game 7 in 21 years. Craig Berube has won his last 2 Game 7s. Brad Marchand is a perfect 4-0 in Game 7 against Toronto, but he's never played a Game 7 at Toronto. All 4 of those Game 7s for him were at Boston.
That just means, Alec, we're going to be rolling some dice tomorrow.
I mean, for all the marbles. Face-off is won by Adam Lowry, and fired out for Niederreiter. The pass missed. Ottinger's coming out to play this one. He gets tied up by Appleton and Niederreiter right behind him. Niederreiter gets it free, but it lands onto Rantanen's stick. Lowry couldn't cut this one off. Here's a potential 2-on-1, but the Jets defense gets back. Harley shoved towards the wall by Pionk. Robertson also tied up, and this is Johnston freeing up the puck. Back for Johnston, trying to fake out the defense. Johnston, catching Hellebuyck out of position. Can't get the pass in front. He gets it back up to the near quarter. Johnston along the half boards. That pass was deflected out by the Jets defense. An underrated component of this group. 14-6 the shot attempts in favor of Dallas early in this Game 6. Floated out onto the Dallas zone, where it is Esa Lindell chopping away on the backhand. Dallas trying to re-enter, but Winnipeg is forcing him all the way back. Scheifele finds Velarde, the former LA King, involved in that first Pierre-Luc Dubois trade. Or second one, depending on who you ask, because Dubois was traded to Winnipeg, then LA, and then Washington. So it's 3 Dubois trades. From the near corner, Connor gets this out onto the left side for Josh Morrissey on the wheel round pass. Morrissey banks this off the near corner. Velarde arrives to the puck, tied up by Ceci, brought it back to Morrissey. Dylan DeMello. DeMello shot hit a stick right in front of Connor. That was blocked off a skate. Connor gets it back over to DeMello. Deep right point. Sends this back in front for Velarde. Deep point. Bounced off a leg. Connor will pick it up again from the near corner side. 40 seconds of zone time for the Jets, and that's all. Morrissey brings it out the red line to DeMello. DeMello brings it up for Velarde and then back as the Jets will go ahead and make their line change. DeMello will move it through the middle. Moving up the ice and then past the red line, dumping it in is Perfetti. Around Lyubushkin as he looks to go across for Bishop. Perfetti arrives there. Perfetti, the little engine that could. On the right point, Neil Pionk fakes the wrister. Up for Perfetti down low. Ottinger to stop. He's been excellent following a loss, and that magic continues. Up the middle, here's Rope hits. Tries to spin around. The Jets defense gets back, and he gets closed off entirely. How's about that for a defensive effort? Down low is Rantanen. He's been electric this postseason. Lyubushkin's closed off. He sends this one around the boards for Granlund. Granlund looks to set up for a bouncing puck, and that went off a stick. Nothing there for Rantanen. This Jets defense has been doing a good job denying the Finnish Mafia of any chances. But they bring it back though. Granlund, hits gets turned by Luke Shen. Tanev arrives and Fleury sells it down. Fleury, Granlund tried to get a stick on it. Perfetti brings this one out. Not going to be a 3-on-2 as Perfetti sends this down and around. Tanev arrives first at the near quarter. Bringing it back to the right point for Luke Shen. His shot hit a stick. That was Jamie Benz. And a lucky souvenir is going to bring this puck home.
So Cole Perfetti on the previous sequence gets denied by the right pad of Ottinger near the right side red line. But I got to outline as we go to break here. Neil Pionk, he was stuck in one end getting a piece of the stick with a shot block. As Rope hints off a long outstretch pass, I mean, he's gone. It's a one-on-one. He goes for a half spinorama, and Pionk able to stay with him the whole time, Alec, and close him out without getting a trip. That's just beautiful defense.
That's admirable from this Jets defense, what they're capable of doing. And for us all to talk about the Stars defense, people need to pay attention on how good the Jets defense is. It's not just Hellebuyck that's doing the work here for the defense for Winnipeg. Look at the guys in front of him. They have the crowd of defensive defensemen with them. Neil Pionk can play both ends. Josh Morrissey primarily an offensive defenseman, but can also can play his own end too. Dylan DeMello and Luke Shen, their premier defensive defensemen. And even give credit to Dylan Sandberg, who is blocking shots relentlessly.
Yes, and to your point, I mentioned it a couple times ago on the broadcast in the mix of when we covered the Leafs and the Panthers. Bobrovsky always says the same thing with his back end. Henrik Lundqvist always says it in the TNT side of it when they do the intermission. I do want to ask you to talk about goaltenders just for a moment. So, again, you had that hit from Stolarz in Game 1, but in that previous, as Bennett comes flying into the goal crease, we saw Bobrovsky's head in his helmet hit the back of the left post. How did he stay in that game? I mean, it looked like a car crash.
Yeah. Aaron Ekblad shoved Max Domi, Ryan Toussaint Bennett, who hit Sergei Bobrovsky's helmet. I'm not sure how concussion spotters missed that entirely, outside of Bennett's hit on Anthony Stolarz in Game 1, which I'm like, what in the world? You let both goaltenders continue playing after those hits from Bennett?
Yeah, that's how I'm wondering what's going to happen in Game 7. I don't even know if Big Bob has any repercussions for that, but, I mean, he fell back and hit the post hard.
Yeah, and now you're even wondering that if Stolarz comes back, if you're Toronto, who do you go with between him and Wall? And if folks start off the face-off.
You get back into the play-by-play, it's got to stay with Wall. He's earned it so far.
Yeah, so far, so good. And here it is, Josh Morrissey off the face-off. That might have hit Ottinger. And Dallas will move it up through the far side. 3-on-2 rush with a trailer option. Cross ice for Robertson. Robertson fires. Hit a stick. It came loose. Josh Morrissey tried to get it back. And he can't do so now. And now the Jets will move it up. That allows Morrissey to pick up his stick. Velarde tried to move it onto the zone. Esa Lindell closes him off. CC finds him. Tried to get it out, but there are too many Jets in the way. Robertson can't get it out either. Velarde chips it right behind the net. CC there to block that off. Scheifele gets it all the way back for DeMello. Long shot, caught, and scooped up out of midair by the Otter.
Man, Morrissey's shot went in between legs in the previous, just kissed the top of the crossbar. It got past Ottinger, but it hit the iron.
The outside of it, goaltender's best friend as always. He can cue the Marc-Andre Fleury montage at this point.
And he's been awesome on the world side for Team Canada. Flower's been ridiculous.
The Canada's been on a mission in the IIHF World Championships. The last ride for Flower, and he wanted to make the most of it. The prank wars between him and Sidney Crosby are not done, not in the slightest. Puck bounces up at the neutral zone, is grabbed by Sandberg up the middle. Too hot to handle for the Stars for a brief moment, but Thomas Harley gets it back. Up the near side for Tyler Seguin. Seguin looks to find Deshay, wants to get by Pionk. Pionk says, no sir. Sandberg closing off Dallas' options up the far side. Fire back, the pass missed. And all the way back to Ottinger as he's forced to come back all the way from his zone. They've taken away 2 shots from the Jets. The shot board reads 2 apiece. Since when we have a game with this few shots at this point in time with 6 minutes left in the first period, the Dada moves inside, tried to backhand one, but that one hit a leg. Up the middle, off a stick, that was Niederreiter's, and it's fired down the far side. Adam Lowry can't get inside. Appleton has to escape back to stay onside. Niederreiter wanted to poke it free, came back onto the neutral zone towards the Dallas side. Adam Lowry surveys. Along the Winnipeg bench, tried to pass this one back. Niederreiter wanted to fire this down, but it bounces up onto the benches.
Yeah, and you mentioned alongside the low amount of the shot board at 2-2, this is anything but not having action. It's been all over the place. If these defenses didn't play with speed, honestly, Alec, they probably could have already given up a couple on both sides.
That's how playoff hockey is. That is usually low event, and it's the way that playoff hockey should be played. Low-scoring, grueling matches.
Yeah, there's been a lot of speed between these two teams. That's what I've noticed more so. Again, we were able to watch the Canes game just the other day when they were able to finish it off against the Caps. That was more of a long, outstretched, long pass seams. In this, there's been chances, but the defense been able to close it out in front of the net, and they've had to do so. Again, you can talk about that in between Pionk and Hintz, as we mentioned, off the half spin. Most defense would give up a goal easily on that. There'd be no shame to have Rope Hintz get the full spinner on the backhand goal, but both these teams are playing like they have to right now because I think both of these offenses can strike at any moment. And let's not get it twisted. I think the Jets offense, at least, probably underrated in a lot of people's minds.
Don't forget about the down the lineup scoring. We talk about Cole Perfetti, Vlad Namestnikov, the contributors that have been huge for the Jets during the Manitoba Miracle. Cole Perfetti said himself that they don't practice the chop tip a lot, but that's the old Sidney Crosby play, the chop tip, the goal that he scored when the Jets were on the power play against St. Louis in that Game 7.
Cole Perfetti has been around a while. It seems like he has been. It's been a few years for him, but honestly, I really like his game. He's got a lot more years left. He's really just getting started with the Jets. They got a really good core, as you mentioned, over the years, and now, honestly, I'm glad they didn't blow too much of it up. They knew they had a good team. Just needed to make some tweaks. It's kind of shameful you got to run into the Dallas Stars, but what are you going to do? Because the Stars are going to be a headache for the next decade.
But they are, knowing all the core that they have around, and they're not done just yet. I know they are by far and away the favorites to win the Stanley Cup out of the 6 remaining teams here on this field. At some point you wonder, when are they going to get it done? And with a superstar like Mikko Rantanen, it seems like this year could be their best chance yet. Roope Hintz loses the draw as Winnipeg moves up the near side of the ice. But truth may be stranger than fiction, as is said time and time again. Tanev deflected it off his own stick, looking to get it back to Barron. Bishop was there. Barron wants to pry free. Iafallo there for support. Dallas wants to clear, but can't do so. And Iafallo can't hold it for a moment, but gets around the far side. Right behind the crease. Alex Petrovic pinned towards the wall by Iafallo. Coming out for support, I believe, is Granlund as he moves it up with speed down the middle. Free on free as they enter. Barron was right behind the pitch. Hits. Slam towards the wall hard. Dallas in this series has averaged 12.8 missed shots per game. And that's got to change if you're a Peter DeBoer's squad. No matter if you go 11 forward, 7 defensemen, or 12 forward, 6 defensemen. Down the near side, backhanded deep as Bishop collects it. Well, backhanded for Petrovic. Up the far side, this one bounced up, and Velarde will be the first one to retrieve. Velarde swung and missed, and the Donov missed on his initial chance. Hellebuyck resets, DeMello closes him off. Shut him off on the second opportunity he got as he is forced wide to the far corner. Tie up here right behind the net. Off the careless giveaways, the Donov goes down. We stay 5-on-5 as there was no need for that penalty call and there should have been one. For the far corner, this is pry free onto the right point. Lindell wanted to keep it inside Paquette as there was a swing and a miss keep. Backhanded in deep by Perfetti, or rather Connor, as Scheifele comes out. Extra motivated for tonight's game, playing for his late father Brad. On the near side, as Connor dispossesses his man at the puck for a brief second. And through the middle come the Stars. Up around the far side, Hellebuyck lets this one go. Pionk beats out Robertson. Wants to go out in front. The pass missed everyone. Was this last touch by Winnipeg? No, it was last touch Dallas. Perfetti's back out there. Once again, the little engine that could. 5'11". The guy who was dubbed too small for playoff hockey. He got it done in Game 7 against St. Louis with 2 huge goals. Pionk through the near corner. Dadonov slams him. Namestnikov out there. Towards the front. Robertson can't find a lane. Through the far side. Ehlers. Ehlers skates this one out through center. Sends this one down off a stick. And it'll be Harley who'll move this one through the near side. Harley loses Niederreiter. Harley up for Matt Duchene who goes across. Duchene wants to move around Luke Shen. Shen says no. Ben for support. Will force it to the far side. Heiskanen looks to go up front. Bishop moves in. Bishop shot down by Hellebuyck. Fleury tried to sweep it away. Dallas gets it back. Tight shot bounced off a body. It'll be Heiskanen grabbing at the left point. And Granlund gets closed up. Rebound loose. Send it past the Shane across. Gets stymied there. The pass intercepted. Not out. Heiskanen. Top of the left circle. Boxed out by Niederreiter. Heiskanen keeps a hold of it. Back over to Liam Bishop. Heiskanen one more time. Heiskanen. One-timer Bishop. Hellebuyck, he's able to like the rebound. One swept wide. And Shen grabs a hold of it. Chance to clear. Heiskanen holds it. Down low to Shane. Send a pass towards his line. Rantanen can't shoot it as he was boxed out. At the right circle, Rantanen goes back towards the point. Bishop looks around. Heiskanen up high. Rebound. 2 huge saves from Hellebuyck. And here's Duchene again. Shoved down by Appleton. Niederreiter wants to clear again. A minute of zone time here for the Stars. This is overwhelming. And finally the Jets clear. Oh my goodness, John. What did we just witness?
How did they not take a penalty there? They looked like they were being outrun. And Nico ran there and almost deked everybody through his shoes.
He almost did. As Hellebuck will play this one out, he's surrounded. And Grant will grab a hold of it near side. Sharp angle. Hellebuck again.
Yeah, he was outstanding. This last one for Bischoff, I mean, he's able to walk in like a phone booth. Gets it on short side right, and it sets up this 1-2 for Duchesne. Somehow gets a piece of it with the right pad, does Hellebuck. Jamie Benn had the screen all over him. Connor was outstanding in that sequence. The Jets survived. I would have been not the least bit surprised out, like if they took a penalty. I almost feel like they had to, but now they got to deal with this ozone draw.
I guess the hand-eye coordination for the warm-ups is starting to work out on the road at last for Hellebuck. Because if you're Peter DeBoer and the rest of the Dallas Stars, you're wondering, how the heck did we not score there? Wendell heads off. Granlund, one more time on Hellebuck. Can't solve him there. And this one finally out as Wendell backhands this one inside. Oh no, this is off the Winnipeg bench.
Well, so at least you could say, I'll mention this. If I'm Peter DeBoer, I'm thinking this exactly. It's 125 of zone time. You probably almost scored 3.5 times there. That's going to take whatever happened in this first period. I think Peter DeBoer gives his team the check mark. Dallas Stars did well in the first 20.
So far, so good in the first 20 minutes. This is a check mark for the Dallas Stars. They've come out as the hungrier team. Winnipeg has had all the answers defensively when you account for the Neil Pionk shutdown on Rope Hintz earlier in this period. Scheifele's tossed out. That means Velarde is going to take the faceoff, and he wins it in lieu of Scheifele. Up the middle, backhanded deep by Josh Morrissey. Right off the glass and picked up by Ceci. Wendell gets bludgeoned up and is chopped away. DeMello gets a stick onto the puck. It's loose at center ice. Velarde will recollect it up, and here's DeMello. No scoring here in the final minute of this first period. Right behind the play, Ceci gets chopped out. Marchment off the near wall, and this bounces up for Scheifele. Kyle Connor brings it back inside. Wants to set it behind for Morrissey and does. Morrissey right off the post. And this will be Connor keeping his one inside. Connor right at the point. Connor threw one towards the goal. That bounced up. Marchment wants to play this one out and does so. Winnipeg places one off the glass and up for Sandberg, who is tied up in his own zone. Morgan Barron's back deep. 27 seconds. Barron will restart. Fourth lines out there as Barron brings it back. Barron speeding behind the defense. Can't finish this one off as he overskate the puck. Barron tied up far side. Brings it back towards the point for Morrissey. Rink wide for DeMello. DeMello takes one up and that was blocked in front. DeMello goes back. Here's Morrissey. Forced wide outside. Morrissey towards the front. Can't finish this one off. Swept away out of the zone. And what an eventful first period. Despite it being scoreless, what action we've had here on both ends. And to both goaltenders, take a bow.
Yeah, you said it all, Alec, because I was thinking the same damn thing. Again, the shots read just 6-2. But again, all the shot blocks, everything else in front of it between both of these teams, that's the only reason why the shot board's been so low. But you can quantify it, that minute and a half of zone time there for Dallas. I think that, again, made their whole first period. Connor Hellebuck made 3 outstanding stops. Bishop gets to 9 near the left side post. The pass across, try to set up for Rantanen and Duchesne. Ben has a screen in front. Somehow Hellebuck gets a right pad on it. I'm not even sure how he saw it. And then you had a previous sequence before that zone time where there was a cough up right in the middle of the slot. Again, Dadonov first gets the night off the wraparound. Then he just blows the wrist shot wide. Honestly, Dadonov probably should have scored twice.
He should have. Because you wonder, what in the world? That's twice in which he should have scored. One of them and went wide. The second one might have bounced off of someone right in front. But Winnipeg's defense has been having every answer for the Dallas Stars so far. But that zone time, you would think that at some point the Stars are going to be inclined to score later.
You would have to think so. And again, we talk about as good as that first period was despite there not being any goals. How about the hit board? Winnipeg Jets doing what they have to do. This is just first period, mind you. They've got 23 hits already, 23-8.
That's the style of playoff hockey that needs to rise up to the occasion if you're Winnipeg. be the aggressor. And so far, despite the shots on goal total being towards the Stars, Winnipeg is being the aggressor, taking chances with this puck. No matter who is out there on the ice, they're throwing the body, which is something that they love to do. And this, you can say that this is a continuation of the Rick Bowness teams from the 2 years past. But there's a reason why they're setting the tone right now, and that Adam Lowry and Mark Scheifele are setting the tone.
Yeah, and you mentioned alongside Rick Bowness, you can talk about being the former coach of both of these teams, but you're absolutely right. You get some tone setting, and at least we can mention this. You mentioned only Connor Hellebuyck losing one game only when they've only given up one or less throughout that first period. Didn't give up anything there. Alec, Connor Hellebuyck looked as good as I've ever seen him in that first period because honestly, about 4 of those 6 saves, probably goals on any other netminder.
Yes, that's as accurate as it is. When he is in his A game and doesn't allow a goal after the first period, you know you're going to see a dialed-in Connor Hellebuyck. And that's what we're seeing right now. He's dialed in, and he's playing like he wants to end his road skid in the postseason. That's the best thing that can happen to the Jets.
So for the Dallas Stars, trying to go, I think they got 3 straight conference finals. Maybe it's 4, but trying to go for 3. Again, in the mix of it, that Anton Hudobin run when they got to the Stanley Cup Finals, that was magical. That team was nowhere near as good as what they are right now. And dare I say it for Peter DeBoer's squad. And let's be honest, in between the Jimmy Benn contract and Tyler Seguin, when they figured that out, I think the Stars probably will even get better than this at some point, which is hard to even manifest, but it's really the truth. But this probably is the best Stars roster currently that Peter DeBoer's been able to coach, would you say?
Yes, it is. It's easily so. They can balance out their lineups top to bottom. And the fact that Jason Robertson is not on the top line, granted that he is just coming back from injury, but still, you have a top line that's Mikko Rantanen, your prize superstar acquisition at the deadline. That's huge because he's now firmly established himself on the Conn Smythe leaderboard. Superstars don't come often at the trade deadline, but when you are blessed with the superstar talent like him, that's when you know your team is for real and you are serious. You can balance out the lineups between him, Robertson, Roope Hintz. You got Michael Granlund on the top line after a career revival over with the San Jose Sharks. This lineup is legitimate. If this goes to a game, if we do see a situation where Winnipeg sends it to a game 7, you got to know if Dallas is having the worries right up on them. But still, there's that undefeated Peter DeBoer record that he has to take care of. And game 7 is a game in which Wyatt Johnston loves so much.
Yeah, he does. And he's the one that always comes through and scores. And granted, I know Ian would say the same thing if he was in here. And the same thing for a lot of the Dallas fans, that if it gets to game 7, it should be automatic. But at some point, Alec, you and I are on the same page. Look at that number for Peter DeBoer on the 9-0. It's impressive. He's trying to go 10-0 if it gets to game 7. Obviously, Dallas doesn't want it to get there. But at some point, those records are made to be broken.
Yes, they are. If you remember back in 2017 when Justin Williams got handed his first ever Game 7 loss at the hands of the Pittsburgh Penguins, when Marc-Andre Fleury had that shutout when the Penguins successfully defended their Stanley Cup title in 2017. Of course, records are meant to be broken. But at some point, if this goes to a Game 7, anything could happen. And Winnipeg, of course, not only they're playing for their city, they're playing for the Scheifele family.
Yeah, they are. Now, like I think you said it best, and the same thing for Peter DeBoer. You mentioned this part of his pregame. Because, look, I don't care what the numbers for Connor Hellebuyck are on the road. We're going to have to prepare for him like we always have to do, knowing that he's one of the best goaltenders in the league. And he's saying that to urge his team to go out and put their foot on the gas because Dallas Stars, as we said, you can't take anything for granted going to Game 7. You're going to try to finish this right now. But more importantly, try to give yourself some rest because if you look at it over the last couple of years, I know you and I never did, but I know a lot of other fans can go out there and they can make fun of the Oilers and poke at some of their idiosyncrasies and some of the things that they don't do well. But now the Edmonton Oilers have proven themselves over the last few seasons to be one of the most complete teams. Dallas is going to need to use this extra rest because that battle at WCF, if it gets there between Edmonton and Dallas or the Jets, that's going to be a battle.
There's the feeling in me that if Dallas ends this tonight, then I think that they could, and I say this could being the key word, they could beat the Oilers in a 7-game series. I have it going the full distance in that scenario. If this goes to a game 7 between Winnipeg and Dallas comes out this one, I think Edmonton takes the Western Conference Final.
That was the prevailing thought that I saw in the pregame for ABC, and honestly, you know what, Alec, I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to agree on that side because I think that there's a ton of pressure the other way for these Canadian teams, and I don't think you can really go out. And I'm not saying the Jets are going to do this because they're a good defensive team, but I don't think they can really have their best strength be a 6-5 type of game against Edmonton. Edmonton can play both ways. I think that they can do so better than the Jets. I don't see the Jets winning a lot of those high-scoring, multi-goal games. I don't think that suits them as well.
No, the track meet style of game is not the Jets style of game. The Oilers, they can play it both ways. They can win low-scoring contests, and they can win track meets. That's a scary thought if you're the Winnipeg Jets and you somehow pull this one off.
That's what I'm thinking too. And again, Dallas is more game for that. I would love to see a 7-game series. I know for Cooper Hopkins, he'd be rooting for Dallas because obviously between Calgary and Edmonton, those are blood rivals. You never want to see them win. But I wonder if we do get to the point if Toronto does shock us all and we finally get to see them in the third round, if Toronto and Edmonton, who's going to be rooting for them more? Because I imagine everybody in Alberta and Edmonton are going to obviously root for the Oilers, but maybe everyone else across the entire planet Earth will be rooting for the Leafs.
I guess Canada is split. I would imagine that the eastern side outside of Ottawa and Montreal will be rooting for the Maple Leafs, and the western side outside of Calgary and you could say Vancouver, they're going to be rooting for the Oilers. So Canada is split if we do get a Toronto-Edmonton final. But either way, if it does get to that point, that would be a godsend for whoever comes out among these two Canadian teams.
Again, it's one of those things for me, Alec. We've been watching hockey for a long time in our lives, and even as a diehard-blooded American Red Wings fan and all that, I think I really would want to see a Canadian final, and I'm promising that nobody's in the room making me say that because it's been long enough. And when you see some high-powered teams like that, and then we also see Toronto making all the moves as they've done. Look, we talk about games 5 and 6 being legacy games. We got a chance to cover one of those. It was one of the worst ones that we've ever covered. We had fun with it as much as we could. We tried to be professional, but boy, oh boy, that was difficult to watch. But for Toronto to bounce back and win 2-0, when honestly, I thought it was done. Maybe some of the Leafs fans did not. They expected to go 7 because maybe they think maximum pain's going to happen. But I will say this. At some point, that's also made to be broken, too. You see the Sportsnet side of them always not winning in elimination games. If you can win a game 6, 2-0, after losing 6-1, there's no reason why you can't go back home and do the same thing.
There's actually a part of me that believes that Toronto is going to win tomorrow night in a Game 7. People could talk about the narrative, the common theme. Oh, they have not won a Game 7 in 21 years. They've lost their last 10 series while facing elimination. Well, with Craig Berube as your coach, I think it can happen. He brings resiliency to the team. A type of mental toughness that shows when you are coached under him. St. Louis can attest to that with their Stanley Cup run in 2019 and with all of the core that they brought and with the core that they had from there. Ryan O'Reilly, Jaden Schwartz, Braden Shen, Vlad Tarasenko, the entire defensive core, Jordan Binnington. I think that type of mental toughness can be there with the Maple Leafs. There were some line combinations in which there were head scratchers, particularly the third line of Bobby McMahon, Max Domi, and Max Pacioretty, which Leafs fans thought that they were going to be comfortable thinking that it was going to blow up in their faces. But it didn't. That line change worked for them. And Max Pacioretty brought the insurance marker in that Game 6. McMahon's been terrific defensively. Matthews and Marner have been terrific defensively. And finally, Matthews gets on the board here in the second round, which is the best thing that Toronto needed to get a confidence boost. Game 7, what else is there to say other than I think it's going to be another low-scoring type of game?
Yeah, we're going to see what's going to happen because they're going to be on the air probably just before 7:45 in the mix of that part of the puck drop, and it's going to be fun. You know what? It gave me a lot more optimism from what we saw to Game 5 to Game 6 when I thought it was completely over than to see them win 2-0. They owe it to the fans. They owe it to themselves. But more importantly, Alec, I'll say this. I know Stolarz got injured all that in Game 1, and he hasn't been able to be a factor since. I'm sure if they get to round 3, he will be, and they'll get a chance to do it again. But they owe it to Joseph Woll, because he's played quite well.
Yes, he has. And assuming on the part of for my Carolina Hurricanes, assuming that Toronto advances, I did give the Florida assessment. Assuming Toronto advances, that we could see another series in which it's going to be just as big of a challenge for Carolina as with the Florida series. Because Toronto scorers up and down the lineup. Defensive-minded players up and down the lineup. Even when killing penalties. Offensive playmaking, that's why the big stars are getting paid. Both teams have the penalty kill and the depth scoring to match up with one another. And net mining is going to be what is key between Freddie Anderson and perhaps even a tandem of Stolarz and Woll. Craig Berube's teams play tough. And we're seeing that right here, especially with Game 6. Game 7, it could be the same thing.
This might be the opposite assessment of what you just stated, but I do agree with a lot of your points. I think that might come later in the series. And what I mean by that is when you start this series in between Toronto and Carolina, I know Carolina's got to start on the road. They haven't had as good of a road record. But as you mentioned with Carolina, they force you to play their style. They wear you down. They're physical across the boards. They get a lot of shots. They dictate the pace. Toronto is a team, as you mentioned, with Craig Berube, that's instilled a lot more of that defensive factor. But I'll say this, look out for games 1 and 2 when they start at Scotiabank. I think Carolina might do well to be able to start on the road, instill their system, and maybe force Toronto to have to get used to playing against them. I'm going to say Carolina either keeps it 1-1 or starts 2-0 before Toronto does some of their work to try to score a little bit at home. Maybe some reverse splits. That's just the feeling I have.
That could be. Some reverse splits could be in the works. But, in a series like this, I don't imagine that Carolina gets swept again in the conference finals. No. Because there's no way possible that Carolina loses 16 consecutive Eastern Conference final games. That's just maximum pain and a half.
We've watched them play too well, Alec, over the games that we covered. Again, you covered a lot more of them. You've seen the team, you followed it. I've seen the systems across it. I think Stankoven was a great add. I like the add of Taylor Hall. Dmitry Orlov mixed in there, too. Everybody fits in there well. Jarvis played excellent in that game that we covered. Sebastian Aho is always there. You got Svechnikov. There's a lot of clutch and there's a lot of work. And I think especially when you play against Toronto, there's no way that it's going to end up being another 4 straight. Now, if we turn it the other way, as you mentioned with Florida, and you already gave us that breakdown in the previous one that we covered, Florida plays the exact same style as Carolina. And that's why I think things can be difficult. But for Toronto, that likes to go up and down a little bit more. That's why I think the reverse splits might be there. And also, again, we have to give full marks, let alone that defense with Jacob Slavin. That's all a given. But Freddie Anderson has been the Conn Smythe.
Yes, he has. And for which team I would prefer to play in that sense, while I lean Toronto, I'm not going to do any specific chants because nobody should ever chant that they want any specific opponent. The only chant that you'll ever hear me do is "We want the cup."
Yeah, I think that's well said by you because I was going to bring that up. And alongside with Toronto last year when we want Florida, that did not work out very well. And now Toronto is chanting, "We want Carolina." All I'm asking is be careful what you wish for, Leafs fans, because Carolina can absolutely tear you up.
That was the case. And because that chant is cursed, and the only thing that Leafs fans should be chanting is "We want the cup." I get it. You haven't been to the Stanley Cup final in 57 years and counting. Well, 58 right now, but I get it. It's been a long time coming for you. The closest you've been here to the Cup final, 1993. But that still doesn't excuse anything about wanting any specific opponent. You have to not count your chickens before they hatch.
No, you can't. The last time those two teams met, if it's going to be Toronto, right, was the 2002 Conference Finals, in which Carolina went to the Stanley Cup Finals. I guess the only thing I can chant, as far as a Red Wings fan, is I want the first overall pick, but that never ends up happening.
But well, and if Florida gets put away here in the second round, then maybe that's good news for Calgary because that's a higher first round pick for them. I guess that's the case. Well,
yeah, that would be good for them. And again, as you mentioned alongside, I like the work that Conroy's done and the picks and stuff that they have. I think Calgary's in a good spot. You know, it's kind of hard when you have a franchise netminder probably fall in your lap. But when you got guys like Wolf in the mix of Kiprusoff and all of that, at the time, you take what you can get. If you have a good goaltender, you just ride with it.
Yep. Take what you can get. You got to address the goal scoring because you now have 2 picks from this year's draft. The other one you got from the Kachuk for Huberdeau and Uyghur trade.
Yeah, there's going to be a little bit of work to do there, but I like what Conroy's done. Again, we're going to look at this inside of the second. I'll get a chance to take this one over, and then we can switch out again in the third and try to get a chance to close. That means Alex is going to get to close tomorrow. I'm decided between the Leafs. I'm a little bit jealous. Maybe that one will go to OT. We'll figure that out. But I'm just hoping that tomorrow's game will be close because we knew tonight's would be.
We knew that tonight's going to be close and that Winnipeg was going to bring the energy with the hits. The goal scoring chances were in the favor of Dallas early, but the physicality has been in favor of the Jets. Winnipeg's doing a good job holding Dallas at bay on the defensive side, and Dallas, they've been doing a good job attacking the net. So I guess it's sort of a win-win for both teams in the first period.
Yeah, and again, as we mentioned, alongside that first intermission, we were able to talk all hockey throughout it because there was a lot to talk about in this game. It's been good so far. 240 minutes since the last road lead. Oh my goodness, for Winnipeg there. Again, you want to try to change those fortunes. They have not won a game on the road. They are 0-5. If they go to 0-6, their season is over. And who do you got first? Do you got the Road Whites or do you got Victory Green at home scoring the first goal? Because the first goal might determine who wins this game, the way that this one's been played. But let's find out. As this picked up now to the left side here for Dylan Sandberg, and a long shot will be a basket catch for Jake Ottinger. That's how we start the second.
This is basically, you mentioned about first goal is basically what's going to win this game. And I don't necessarily disagree with you, but the way that this game is playing out, it is just too close for comfort between the two of these teams. I would imagine that with the way that Winnipeg is saying the tone physically, it could be them.
We'll have to see, and I would think, Alec, if it is them, that's probably what's needed. Because if I ask you the age-old question, who is the first goal most important for, we'd both probably say Winnipeg, correct?
Yes, it would be most important for Winnipeg to score the first goal.
Yeah, they have to, because their season's on the line here, and they want to play out on the front foot. Because I think Dallas is just a little bit more firepower to play from behind. Especially when you're thinking about Granlund and Rantanen, who already have hat tricks in this series. Rantanen opening with back-to-back after he just eliminated his former team in the Avalanche, which was another one of those games that we covered. As this is spun behind the end board, Sam Steele takes a big hit. Wyatt Johnson overskates it. There's been pinballs and pinatas all over the ice here. Kyle Connor, great pass. It does not hit up the seam. Oh! Good reverse hit toward the right side boards. Takes up one of the Jets. As that was an opportunity. They pick back up now for Scheifele. Had to take a bump. This is now toward the left side red line. Slam back in behind the end boards. They will give it to the Jets here, so no icing. This will be sent back around by CC, former Oiler. A little double team, a long clear down the ice. Pionk trying to get there first. Gets away from the outside positioning of Dadonov. And Dadonov's missed some shots, and he's just flown all over the ice. Nemestikov off the drop for Perfetti. Took too long to shoot. Got to pass it back for Sandberg, and that pass bounces toward the right side. Dallas could have numbers here if they could break out quickly. They go for a long backhand lift. This is an opportunity now for Steele. Throwing in behind the end boards is Pionk. Ends up finishing his hit. Jets will reverse ice. Take this one from left to right and then gain across the red for Neil Pionk. Shoveled it into the corner. Now Victory Green to Miro Heiskanen. Great back pass. That was a no-look. Start this one now for Dadonov. Off the drop for Miro. Miro, again, his third game, I believe, since he's come back. Here's a slow-up shot. This one goes off the skates and up and on play.
So the pace has slowed down here right after the first 3 shots on goal for Winnipeg, or first 2 shots on goal for Winnipeg. But what a booming hit by Mason Marchment. And on Mark Scheifele too, as he spun around to pass this one around the end boards. Kyle Connor had himself a chance early with the setup pass for Josh Morrissey towards the slot. He wanted him to just tip it on the backhand right towards Jake Ottinger. Just went a little too far.
Yeah, to do that, again, there's been a lot of pace, a lot of physicality and everything else. And as you mentioned, as this puck goes up and out of play, if these two teams maintain the first play from that first period, then that would have not worked out. I think one of the fans might have got hit with the puck that went up in the glass. My goodness.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, he did. I think he got hit towards the face. Someone get him some medical attention.
If they're going to get that quickly, they usually do it American Airlines. We got the camera cut there and alongside ABC. I was just getting my charging cord and I saw that there. I'll plug that in once we get a stoppage as far as the commercial. We might have to take an extra beat here as long for that fan. As Rope Hintz now doing a little bit of a spin. They're going to get the centering and everything else figured out. But I think that's what they're figuring out now is the fan that took that puck. They're going to give it an extra moment.
Yeah, so we're going to take a moment here because the fan needed some medical attention. Yeah, he took it right onto the face. That looked ugly. Nino Niederreiter was immediately calling for medical attention towards the fan. So now that's out the way. We are getting back.
This will be iced.
Well, nonetheless, good thing that they paid attention to that because that was scary, the moment that he got struck by the puck. So they're attesting to him now, and it's good spotting by the players to take into account the fan that got hit by the puck.
Yeah, it's crazy, Alec. Again, you got all the netting on the side of hockey, you got all the netting inside of baseball, but yet everywhere you are live when you're in a sporting event, you always got to be careful because something can find you.
Yeah, even in baseball, as you mentioned, if there's a home run that goes throughout the left deck or the right deck.
Just a short side slapper that missed for Miro Heiskanen against Connor Hellebuyck, because this will be for the right side glass, now hit the netting, go on to play. Now we're starting to get our stoppages here, 17:23 in a scoreless second.
Heiskanen wanted a quick shot right off the draw as it came back towards him. And that's what sometimes offenses would perform here. Quick face-off wins. They try to score quickly. That was the game plan that Heiskanen wanted to go with. Just missed Hellebuck's glove just wide of him and missed the bar.
Yes, it did. And at least I'm watching again for Hellebuck's eyes and everything else for the tracking. It looked like he was going to be right on top of that if it didn't miss to hit it with his glove. Wyatt Johnston will win this one straight back to Essa Lindell. Again, that's second line for the Dallas Stars in the mix of Cody Ceci, trying to make another one of those impacts for Jim Nill. And Granlund and Ceci, I think, have been pretty good. Didn't cost them a whole heck of a lot. As this is now picked up here from Mikko Rantanen. He's got speed. Johnston with him on the right side. Here's the drop for Wyatt. And this one will be sailed up above the glass to stay in play. Mark Scheifele able to separate body from puck. Kyle Connor, that pass too far for him. Settle back down for Ceci. Backing across from Lindell toward the left side blue line. Wyatt Johnston tried to shovel it in. It bounces off of one of the Jets. Goes all the way back to the Stars. After recollecting their own end, Wyatt Johnston off the intro speed off the give and go. Wyatt Johnston now on his backhand. Try to leave for Robo. Centering feet off front gets cut off by some stick blades. There for Josh Morrissey. Good defense there. Again, we know Josh for his offensive game, but his defensive game is pretty good. He's a pretty good two-way defenseman all the way across the board. He's just been able to be a revelation the last couple of years with points. He settled back down. Turned over by Hellebuyck off the clear and around the end boards. This is going to get Dallas for a moment, but cut off was Harley. As this will be flipped back in the other way. Victory Green off the drop. Here's a pass. Looking in for Rope Hintz. Here's a pin. Finnish Mafia lines back out there. Wraparound attempt gets knocked away. Mason Marchment lost it for a moment. This will be recollected and across the red line. The race now for the Jets. And off the pin. This is sent back out now for Rope, who's in his own end. A long outstretched pass. It's recollected by the Jets. A little reverse body hit. Stars will get it back. Harley's feed bounces off some stick blades. I don't think this is onside. Grenlund was offsides by about 50 feet.
Winnipeg's defense is doing a good job holding everyone on Dallas and limiting shot chances here with their stick checks. Good job on limiting the Finnish Mafia. And one of the shots that Mikko Rantanen took bounced off a stick right in front, which speaks to the Jets' defensive structure that Scott Arniel runs.
Who is going to blink first in this game? Because again, Alec, I have to remind you, shot attempts are 30-13 Dallas, but the shot board reads just 6-5 stars. Defense has been exceptional, as both of us have been telling you throughout this broadcast. John, I'm with you alongside Alec Nava. You took the first, I'm going to take the second. We're still waiting for this first goal, and it might be a while unless we get a nice play off of a breakout, but both of these defense don't allow that. Sit back him on the end boards. You can ask that between Washington and Carolina, and that previous one we covered a couple days ago. As this will be settled the other way, Rister, this goes wide of the right post, and Labushkin lost it. As this will be sent back off the back check. Ilya gets a chance to pick it up now. Ehlers picks his pocket, and he'll scroll back into his own end. And alongside with Hayden Fleury, but it's still a Nick Ehlers. Ehlers now turns on the burners in a half skate, dropping alongside for Hayden and around the mesh. As this will be picked up here off the drop. And Victory Green will get it one more time. Again, shot board has not changed. We're 5 minutes expired into the second, still scoreless. Granlund, windmill, lost the puck. Jets have a break. Ehlers looks behind him, shoots save Andre with the left pad. He wanted to see if there was any trailers behind him, but he had to go. Rister, this one hits the glass, and the penalty hand is in the air. Jets going to the power play as soon as Dallas touches. Scores! It's Scheifele!
What a fitting end to this. On the delay penalty, Mark Scheifele gets the Jets on the board, and the scene here at Dallas is one of pure emotions. What a fitting way for Winnipeg to strike first. It was on the last few chances in which the Jets have put up, and those smiles speak it all. Smiles, Mark. Your dad's proud of you.
That was awesome, Alec. What an excellent forecheck pressure there for the Jets. Scheifele gets inside positioning on Petro. No chance for Otter.
No chance. Right off the rebound, he puts it in on the 5-hole, and that is the first goal of this game, right off Kyle Connor's own rebound. This is pure elation.
Man, that's goosebumps level stuff for me. I can look it on the arms. 26th career playoff goal. First on the road this postseason. And the Jets have drawn first blood. Again, Game 7 would be Monday. We got a long way to go for that. Big save, Otger, but an even bigger rebound near that left post. If there was a Jet there, that could have been 2-0. This is sent back him on the end. Goal in the last 2 games, 3 in this series. Number 55 has been a mainstay heavyweight as he usually is. You don't need it right or now. Third line time for Scott Arneal's squad that get to play on the front foot. And let's just say this. If this scoreline stays the same heading into the third, I know the numbers repeated at the bars we talk about, but I'd be feeling some butterflies. That one just misses for the left side post. Another slap shot. These Jets look invigorated after that goal. Oh, how could you not be? This is sent back around now for Harley and Heiskanen. Miro, out of Thomas. Little outstretched pass. It's a good one from 70 feet, but the Jets are there to close it off.
Yeah, icing here, and how can you not be romantic about hockey? How can you not be romantic about sports, period? This is why sports are the greatest. He deserves that after what happened last night.
Yeah, again, you get in those spots, you have to try to tune out some of the thoughts, all the emotions and everything else that you're dealing with. Table it for 60 minutes or more, and then go back to living your life. Because, again, these guys are not robots. We've profiled that many times. Scheifele put in a heavy heart. He played a heavy game, scored out in front of the net. That's fitting, as he's got the first one for his team. And off the drop now for Kyle Connor. All the Jets can be thinking about now is trying to finish this off and get to Monday. Alec and I would be busy on Monday, but we wouldn't mind that, because if this goes 7, I don't even know what to tell you which way it would go, as the Jets 4-2 when they score first. Here's a nice pass off the recipient is Kyle Connor. Connor will just shovel it in the corner from Nick Ehlers. Centering feed, try to look for KFC, as is affectionately called in Winnipeg, but that one goes just wide. Sent back in behind the inboards now. Scheifele back out there. Scheifele now, this will bounce off his back skate. This is still loose and behind the net. Excellent work there from Morrissey to bump Sagan off the puck. Working behind the net now for Connor. Connor doing a dance. Here's a setup ball that missed the left side post. That would have been 2-0 again. That one was blistered off the wrist shot, but I think it hit the bar or just missed. Picked up now for Morrissey. Morrissey now off an outstretch. Here's Perfetti off the give and go. Jets try to play this off the bumper. They look really good since scoring this goal. And that's what they needed to see. Again, they've already woken up. Here's an opportunity to race the other way. Rope Hintz was on a half break. Pass doesn't hit in. Mikko Rantanen stutters, shoots for the left side. This one hits the mesh.
Winnipeg is woken up here. This Scheifele goal was the energy and the spark that they needed, and all of a sudden they're firing on all cylinders, peppering Jake Ottinger with shots. Ottinger has rarely lost after taking a loss in the postseason, but here, after that goal, Winnipeg has been on cruise control, chance after chance. Nikolai Ehlers and Cole Perfetti have been on one on the second line. And don't count out Vladislav Namestnikov, formerly a journeyman in the NHL, but now in Winnipeg he's found a home. And the second line is nothing to scoff at. They are terrorizing Dallas here in this Game 6, looking to force a Game 7.
I know I'm going to repeat this question a little bit later in the broadcast, but I want to do so now, even with tons of time left, because I just want to get our speculative thoughts, because it might change at the end of the broadcast. But let's say the Jets win this one and force a Game 7 on the Monday side. All the pressure on the world then goes to the Stars, correct?
Yes, all the pressure in the world to the Stars. We talk about how records are meant to be broken, and Peter DeBoer, who has that 9-0 Game 7 record, including the Game 7 against Colorado this year, we could be seeing a realistic scenario which Winnipeg could continue their Game 7 home winning streak this postseason. Or their Game 7, or hot Game 7, what am I saying? Their hot run at home this postseason.
Yeah. And again, when you think about it for Dallas, they've already been through that misery business alongside against the Colorado Avalanche. And they don't want to have to do this again if you don't want to. That's why Peter DeBoer came out and said, we got to give our best efforts today and expect Connor Hellebuyck to play on top of his game. And Alec and I told you the same thing. And that mix of the Game 5, it seemed like Connor Hellebuyck starting to get his groove back. Already had one shutout in the series, has two. He's working on his third, hasn't faced a whole heck of a lot of shots because these defenses have been good, but he's looked locked in.
Yes, he has.
Sent back in behind the end boards now as Dallas wins the draw, trying to find Mikko Rantanen, first log goal in 10 of 13 games as I tongue-tie myself at American Airlines Center. Opportunity now for Granlund. This is a shovel, closed off by the left pad of Connor. Picked up now for Nito Niederreiter, now with Adam Lowry. Lowry throws it at the net. This will be fought off by Jake Ottinger as Dallas catches Winnipeg on a line change, but good back check again. That will knock that away. Lowry trying to close off Mikko Rantanen. That cannot be easy to do to have to deal with the Finnish Mafia. But since for the last change for Peter DeBoer, I think they're going to try to go at that line as much as they can, and Adam Lowry knows he's going to have his work cut out for him. 11:15 left to go in the second. So we sent back in behind the end boards now. Here's the tie-up. Sandberg able to close that and force that pass off here to Vlad Namestnikov. We were just talking about. And off the drop, Pionk with speed. This one set at the net. Big hit. Cancels off the puck, and there was that still late.
Oh my goodness. What a hit at the blue line by Mason Marchment. He's already thrown 2 big hits in this game itself. And so far, we don't have a penalty just yet. There was going to be one on the Scheifele goal, but Marchment not only blew up Scheifele, but also he blew up Nikolai Ehlers on the blue line. How about this thunderous boom from him?
Yeah, good thing Ehlers popped back up. Alec, he hit him so hard that it took him away from the ESPN ABC camera shot.
Yeah, he just got the wind knocked out of him, and that shows the importance of keeping your head up.
13-7 on the shot board. The majority of this has been in the second. That's easy to say there for Winnipeg off the Scheifele goal. Here's a pass. Did not connect. Opportunity now. Liddell off the flip will hit the player's bench, and we'll do it again.
The scores dilemma usually says teams that are down more are likely to score more, but in this case, the opposite is happening. Winnipeg is up 1-0, and they're more likely going to shoot, and they're more likely to defend. But here, they're shooting the puck more, and that's more to do with the fact that they're down by 1 game in the series after being down by 2 games in this series, and they know this is their season.
Alec, I would agree with you there, and it looks like their home game has translated so far to the road. They look comfortable, and that is what we've wanted to see with this team for 5 games now on the road, where they just don't look right at all. Hand in the air, I think we finally will either get a hand pass or something else called. And Matt Duchene's incensed. He said, look, I'm playing with the puck, with the stick. What the heck are you talking about here? And we're going to see if we're going to send somebody or we're just going to blow the play dead.
Well, I don't know. Trenton Norris pointing towards the box. Matt Duchene's irate. I think we're seeing Cody Ceci. I don't know if it's Matt Duchene. Let's see as he's staying out there.
I think we're still going to stay 5-on-5. It just looks like a neutral zone draw now, from what I understand.
Probably maybe a hand pass from what we're getting the impression of.
I appreciate that, Al, because I was looking at the same thing. Honestly, as we talk about 3 or 4 that could have been called, Matt Duchene was obviously furious because they had the puck in the zone there for a while, but they're just trying to get something on Hellebuyck. 3-8 when facing elimination of the Jets. Again, they haven't won a road playoff game in 3 seasons, so they're trying to get that done. We're just talking about this season at the most for the current history, but that's the way it's been for the Jets. You think about that alongside of Patrick Laine, one of their biggest goal scorers. I know it seems like forever ago, but he's still not even old yet. As Robo will play this off the right side, look for Mikko Rantanen, and that pass was way too hard off the inboards. He's officially at the halfway marker of the third. It's 1-0. Mark Scheifele. Another big hit near the right side boards. Bischel able to cancel that off. Well, 6'5", 230 of them, as he's really getting his career going. And this is a stick pickup near the Jets bench for the Stars. And now Victory Green will slow this one back down here for Liam Bischel. Shots 13-7 as Dallas having some real trouble in their own ends right now. But Liam Bischel off the third effort will get this one down and across the red line. Hayden Fleury. Now we'll take this outstretched pass. Good one touch. Opportunity for Perfetti. Little inside out for Vlad Nemestikov. He gets canceled off by Petro. And now Dallas try to take this one from left to right. This gets deflected off Ehlers, out of play.
I don't know what Dallas was doing at their own zone. They looked lost out there at their own zone of the ice when trying to look for the perfect breakout. And Mikko Rantanen, he got closed off on the bank pass off the near side boards when Rope hits. And Winnipeg's defense, they're shutting off everything here in the second period on Dallas' end. The Winnipeg is out-shooting them 9-1 in the second period. What a frame it is for the Jets.
I know most people won't say this, but again, I'm not most people, Alec. You know that better than anything else. I'm going to say the Jets not only have to finish this second period off strong, I think they need to put their foot on the throat of the Stars. They're probably going to have a similar effort in the third period, because that's what it's going to take to close out a team like this and force a Game 7.
That's what it needs to be for Winnipeg. That the third period is going to be crucial, not just for Winnipeg, but for everyone in this organization, top to bottom, including Connor Hellebuyck. So far, he's maintained his cool, and he's been the Connor Hellebuyck that we know. The defense in front of him has taken center stage. Pionk, Sandberg, DeMello, Schenn primarily.
Again, we talk about it in the mix of what the Oilers matchup's going to be next going across the board. Whether or not it is Dallas or whether it is Winnipeg, it opens my eyes again. And I know we know this. Between Connor Hellebuyck, it all starts and stops with him. But if the Jets' defense plays like this, and we know that they're a very good personnel, they could give anybody fits.
Yes. This is what we know what the Jets can be capable of when they won the President's Trophy this year. The last time a team has won the President's Trophy, coming back from 3-1 in a second-round series, well, and winning that one, that was the New York Rangers 10 years ago. And then the year before that, as I note in the open, was when Marty St. Louis had the unexpected passing of his mother due to a heart attack, and the team rallied around him. Because it was not just about the Rangers in 2014. It was also about the St. Louis family.
Absolutely. Mark Scheifele, how about this for a game? 1 goal on 1 shot and 7 hits already. Here's a race up the gut off the drop. Good reverse gang hit there for the Jets to pry that puck loose. Hayden Fleury now try to get it to Vlad Nemestikov, but it's just too far. Thomas Harley Another one of those big-time defensive players alongside Miro Heiskanen. And again, he's taking center stage even though Miro's come back. Harley with it, rips it right out in front of the net. Rebound. Oh, my goodness. What a snipe, a fortuitous rebound. And the Stars, they've tied this game.
Sam Steele off the bar and inside past Hellebuyck as he tried to stop it with his glove hand. But it just went too quickly past him right off the bar and down low. And it's the fourth line that gets it done. Sam Steele, air defensive by center and anchor of this penalty kill, tying this one up. Well, Dallas has a say in this as they hold the zone. And off the near side, this one bounced in front. The rebound came all the way out, top right corner, just elevating this just right above Hellebuyck's glove. I don't know if this was a screen or not, but it just flashed it right above just enough in which he can't catch it.
Alec, that shot from in the mix of Harley that created the rebound for Steele to score and lift, that was pretty much the same angle which Svechnikov scored that game winner against Washington.
That was.
8:25 left to go in the second. I mean, that had to be placed perfectly. Otherwise, Sam Steele wasn't going to score. As we sit 1-1, drop pass, pretty good one. And off the spin for Nino Niederreiter. Now we'll see if the Jets can get back on the front foot. You can't let that one goal discourage you because they played so well. Jake Ottinger, this goes wide toward his left skate. Jets trying to keep this one in the zone as Adam Lowry with the latest. Here is a pickup now by the Victory Green as they will flip it in and alongside for DeMello. Start this again. Full-scale changes here for Arnold and DeBoer's squad. Shot board is 14-9. Sam Steele, the fourth line. He answers the goal for Mark Scheifele. It's given Dallas life. Again, they only need to win this game to go to the round with the Oilers in the third. As it's Fleury. Here's a drop. This one canceled off nicely by Harley. Might have saved the goal. Tyler Seguin now as they shift the side of the ice. Pick up now for Duchesne, who's trying to find a little double positioning on Hayden Fleury, but the Jets' beautiful work in the mix of Scheifele. Here's a stick handle. He's trying to get around that back line of Cody Ceci. He almost did. Rope Hintz had to come and provide some back support. Slap shot against the inboards does not hit anything. It took one of the sticks out of the hand of Rope Hintz. He had to go pick up some new lumber. He'll be sent back in across the Jets now. We'll start this again. So now we'll get this at 6:55 left to go in the second. John, with you alongside Alec Nava. It's a 1-1 game backhand. That one goes just wide of the crease. Picked up now for Dallas. This will be sent back in off the shovel. Race down for Neil Pion. Quick little backhand push the other way for Barron. Barron now trying to turn on the Jets. He'll gain that red line and throw it in. Jets trying to finish off their forecheck. They've been such a physical beast in this game. Mason Marshall pretty much has all the hits for Dallas on the other end alongside Bishop. 6:25 left to go in the middle frame. It's a 1-1 game now after a scoreless first. Barron pulls out the left side red line and loses it for Ilya Lyubushkin. Now in the mix with Ceci. And off the drop, trying to look this one to the left side wing. Dallas still in the middle of a change. Josh Morrissey on his back skate. We'll see if they'll get the puck now with Dylan DeMello. DeMello will look to go to the forward here across the right side wing. We'll put this one in. It knocks away from the stick of Ehlers. Dallas has speed. It's a 2-on-2 across the right wing. Dodonov slows up, shoots. This one at the right pad of Hellebuyck. Sent back in behind the inboards now. Picked up now again for Steele, who just scored. He's back out there. Here's a drop at Miss Lindell completely. Enough to check back up across the line. Lindell was trying to be the next one in off the chip and shakes. As this is sent back in for Genge. He gets taken away from the puck. Now opportunity for Nikolai Ehlers. We'll throw it right in the glove for Jake Ottinger from 60 feet.
At one point, you could hear the Otters' better chants here at American Airlines Center. Of course, the goaltending rivalry between him and Connor Hellebuyck documented. It's sort of a mini rivalry between these two because these are the two top American-born goaltenders playing in the NHL right now. Much of the discussion being about who's going to get the starting gig in the Olympics. Of course, Stars countering with Otters better because Jets fans were chanting U.S. backup towards Ottinger throughout the series.
That's kind of interesting considering also that Connor Hellebuyck is a U.S. man.
Of course, you know, Hellebuyck from the state of Michigan and Ottinger from the state of Minnesota.
both hockey hotbeds, as we know, and alongside with Canada and the province on that too, but Michigan, Minnesota, and the States, one of the very biggest ones there. Honestly, it's a treat. In between these defense and some of these offenses, Alec, we know this well, but Connor Hellebuyck and Jake Oettinger are probably the two best goaltenders we have left in the playoffs. One of the very two best in the league.
Well, Freddie Anderson could have a say in that, though we need to see him tested against either one of Toronto or Florida in the Eastern Conference Final, no matter who comes out in tomorrow's Game 7.
That's another good point by you. Again, I don't want to say anything disparaging for Freddie Anderson. The shot suppression is the one thing I always think about when I talk about that, because he makes the saves that he's needed made. He's healthy, but when they have to face a lot, does the structure ever break down for Carolina? Really, the structure never breaks down for the Hurricanes.
No, it doesn't. It stays intact. It's a well-oiled machine that plays out defensively and top to bottom down the lineup, that they transform their defense into offense.
That's the way that they do it best. And again, Dadonov, again, they're showing some of his, I can't say lowlights because he hasn't had a bad game, but he's missed a couple of chances that are just so open. You would think he would easily deposit those because he's played Hero before, as we're taking a look at some of these with 5:28 left in the second.
Yeah, there was one of them in the first period in which he missed it entirely. He had a wide open net blocker side on Hellebuyck. Ooh, that's what you gotta have.
Ozone draw right to Morrissey. This will be shoveled away by the stick of the Otter. Sent back in now by Lindell. We'll take the long foot bouncing vulcanized rubber. Dallas get a chance to take this one from left to right. This has been a fantastic game. The last couple of games we've covered have been an absolute treat. Looks like this one's going to be much more of the same. Wrap around now. Mikko Rantanen, he gets his legs taken out from underneath him from Morrissey. Now Morrissey delivers a cross check. It has been a penalty-free game, they say. Here's a wrister, Hellebuyck able to get it on the second effort.
No rebound allowed there, and Stars fans livid after Rantanen was swept off his feet, and Morrissey is feeling something on his knee. That is not good. He was injured in Game 7 of the previous round, and if Morrissey's feeling, I think he went onto the bench immediately because he got tangled up right with Rantanen as he and Rantanen went down together. I think he collided awkwardly along with that boards. He's not putting any weight on that leg. It's not looking good.
Oh, boy. He skated one-legged across the bench. We saw it on the right side boards. And now he needs help getting up to the dressing room. Josh Morrissey's the top D-man for the Jets. If they play one down as this goes off sides, that would be horrible news for Winnipeg.
It would. But they played all of Game 7. They played all but 2 minutes of Game 7 without Morrissey against St. Louis, and they were still able to pull off that Manitoba miracle. They played Game 1 of this series without him because of the injury he suffered in that game. But that I get fans are frustrated on why that's not a tripping penalty, but I'm more concerned about Morrissey now than the trip.
I'm looking at this now. The second one that we just had is he still needs more help. He got a door shot in there for Morrissey, but I don't even think it was a touch against the boards for Morrissey, more so than maybe a rip as he got stuck underneath Rantanen. Again, I'm no doctor, but that bend did not look good there for Josh, and I don't know if they're going to be able to mend him simply once they get to the second intermission. So we'll have to monitor it, because if they lose Josh Morrissey, as we said, that's really going to change some things. Cross-check, Matt Duchesne's taking some punishment. He's getting lumber right to his back. Stars fans want to call. They're not going to get it. Now, Dylan Sandberg throws a half little chicken wing elbow that he gets away with. So, Zebras are just going to let everybody play. Sandberg now slows up the offensive zone, gains the red line, goes back to his defensive positioning as it was just flying to Mestikov up on the front. Now, opportunity for Sagan, who gets rocked. Taken the other way now. Winnipeg, this is an inside-out move. And they say play on again. A little half-deke, and Dallas falls all over themselves. DeMello off the rush. He shoots. Save Oettinger. Rebound, none to be had. But this looks like bowling pins.
John, I'm wondering about where the penalties going to come from, as Marchman is having some words for Luke Schenn. But there could have been easily 2 penalties on the play. The Zebras say, just play on, just play on. And I know for a fact that there easily could have been penalties. Adam Lowry cross-checking Matt Duchene from behind. There could have been one, but I feel that there was too light of contact to be had, and I think more egregious was the trip from Luke Shen on Marchment. That could have easily been a penalty. How I'm wondering how that's not a penalty is, wow. Francois St. Laurent and Dan O'Rourke are just letting them go.
Yeah, they are. And again, if we keep count, score at home, everyone listening in on the X Space, YouTube side, Twitch, or wherever else you're listening in on us, we appreciate it as always. But our counter now is officially 4. That probably could have been called. Technically, we will say this, Alec, there was a hand in the air, but Scheifele scored on his, so that negated anything that we would have had.
So basically, it's technically 5 in which they talk about missed penalties, and that 4 that were missed, one of them was going to be called, but Scheifele erased that one. So in total, it is 5 in a sense.
So we give you a sense here now for another look. Again, tomorrow we'll be on the air probably about 7:40, 7:45 puck drop, 7:30 is the TV coverage. And we just got word here again about 7:45 will be the same thing on Monday. Should these two teams need a Game 7, Barron kicked out of the draw. Mikko Rantanen off the off wing, another win by the Jets. DeMello now trying to shovel his backhand across the goal mouth, but that goes wide. This will be sent back down. Rolling vulcanizer over here for the Jets. This will be played in across the red. Opportunity now off the half spin. Dallas try to get some position in there. Lundell all tied up. Rantanen just waiting for this puck to get open. He recollects it across the left side. Stars can start their offense. Thomas Harley, a little stick chop. We'll get a whistle at 3:03 for an offsides.
If someone was way offside, as Mikko Rantanen is a little bit frustrated. Games 1 for 3, he's averaged 19-26 of ice time per game, and the last 2 is 24-24. And that comes with the 11 forwards, 7 defensemen usage, that you're wanting to get more out of your top forwards when having 11 forwards and 7 defensemen on the ice. So there is an advantage or disadvantage of how you put it, because you're exhausting your top forwards more of 11 forwards.
Yeah, and at least as we get another one of those offsides, that we don't have to talk about in a Jim Hiller situation, because Dallas has a lot more depth and Peter DeBoer is going to use it. But to your point, Alec, that's another about 5.5, 6 minutes extra of ice time. And unless you're a superstar, most guys, I know they're well conditioned in the NHL. That's a lot of extra load to have to put on some of these players. It's not easy to do.
No, it takes real courage to deploy 11 forwards and 7 defensemen if you're wanting to go that route. Though I think it only should work if you have a superstar on your team. Oh, what a hit!
Aiden Fleury got smoked in against the boards. This game has not a lot of love lost between these two. This looks like a pretty good rivalry developing across the Central. We know that, but the hits have been ridiculous. There's been a lot of them. Play at the net. Hellebuck had to make his first flashy save of the second. It's a rolling puck that bounced in between Hintz and Heiskanen. And then the Jets able to throw it 200 feet onto Ottinger. That negates the icing, allows them to get a change. They're going to have to do so quickly. Hintz now, this one just wide toward the right side, but Ottinger stood tall. I know that one shot from Steele beat him, but I think that was more fortunate than anything else. Sagan now, one-timer. This one kisses the glass. Dallas can't hold it in. 1:55 left to go. In this second, Gunner with the alongside Alec, get a chance to send this one back over to Alec at the start of the third as we switch positioning. He's going to get a chance to close this one tomorrow in a Game 7. As this will be a drop. Kyle Connor has all day to shoot. He gets robbed by Jake Ottinger. That is one of the very best on best, and that's what you love to see right in the middle of the slot. It gets tossed away with the left stick. As this gets sent back in the way off the tangle, we still play on. When is our first penalty technically going to be called? Maybe it's going to have to be super egregious at this point. That's the only thing I'm thinking. 17-13 on the shot board. Dallas starting to even that up a little bit. As this is off the half spin, Sam Steele, who's already got one. He's had a strong game, one-timer. This one blocked by the Jets out in front. Still contested. As this pass bounces off some skateboards. It's going to be too far for Vlad Nemestikov. No way he's going to be able to get to it. Now push the other way. Sam Steele's on the gas. He's on the edge of his shift. He's got to go back. As it's 55 seconds left to go in the second. Right to left. That's what the Jets want to do for the rest of the second before we get a chance to change ends. That was a great save by Otter on Kyle Connor. Otherwise, it would have been 2-1. Both these goaltenders have been terrific. Oh, blown tire there for Dallas and Mikko Rantanen. That's unusual, as this is a stick taken out of the hand. I think we get another offsides, Mr. Novel.
Yeah, there was a stick that was taken out the hands, and Mikko Rantanen, that's something that's rare for us to see, that he runs out of gas. Very rarely does he run out of gas because he's one of the very best in the league. Well-conditioned superstar as well. You want to talk about well-conditioned superstar? May I present you Connor Hellebuyck and Jake Ottinger. Two opportunities for both Dallas and Winnipeg to fire those two goaltenders respectively. Tyler Seguin's upset that he didn't score on one of those chances at the offensive end, and he is just jamming the bench door angrily that he didn't score, and even trying to break his own stick. Kyle Connor missed out on a chance, but he's still calm.
Yeah, he was, and again on the other side, Hayden Fleury, you can profile him as well. If he doesn't get a piece of that with a glove hand to knock that out, Seguin probably does score it. He wouldn't be jamming at the stick. Usually players only get 3 or 4 of those. Don't want to break too many. Granlund, short side chance, turned away by Connor Hellebuyck. Roope Hintz is just getting worked over in that left side red line corner. 10 seconds left to go in this second frame. Maybe one more time for the Jets to rush. They got to fire this thing quickly, and they do not gain the line. That will give Dallas positioning here to try to get something. Peter DeBoer may elect to pull out of here with 2.8.
That's the dilemma here. If you have little time left here in the second period, you want a go-ahead goal to end the period before the intermission, you could use the bold decision to pull your goaltender. You have 6-on-5 in these final seconds to try and get a quick shot off the face-off, but you have to win that face-off first.
So we will stay 5-on-5. I just wanted to throw that out there with 2.8 left to Shane. Excellent on the draw. He's looking to go 10 of 12 should he win this. And they need to get everyone else set up. Probably Miro at this point. If you get a direct drop line of sight, with 2.8, can't afford to do too much other than that. Off the top, get the shot. This one fought off, and that ends the period. So Dallas did what they wanted to. They got a quick shot. Got fought off into the corner. Alec, I know it was nothing for you after 1. It's 1-1 after 2. This is a teeter-totter type of game right now, and this is about as entertaining of a 40 minutes, first 40 that we've had.
Off the face-off, Matt Duchene indeed got the 10 face-off win that he was looking for, and a quick shot by Miro Heiskanen. That's what Dallas wanted, and Peter DeBoer as well. But quickly, Brandon Tanev reads that and makes the sacrificial block in front, slides up front to prevent the shot from beating Hellebuyck. That's an intelligent play from Tanev, and that's why they got him back at the deadline.
And alongside for Brandon and his brother Christopher, I would say those guys have ice water in their veins for the amount of shot blocks and the selflessness that they play with. Because if you're a hockey player, you love to score goals and be the hero, but not everybody loves to block shots and sacrifice the body the way those guys do.
And not a lot of guys do that. Normally they will want to go for the offensive guys, but defensive-minded guys are just as important too. And I'm glad that Winnipeg prioritized defensive-minded players at the trade deadline. Go under the radar. Don't go for the splashy picks like what I know what Dallas did, what they had to do with Rantanen. Their needs were different than what Winnipeg's needs were. They wanted to keep most of the band together without breaking it up. That's why they brought in Brandon Tanev and Luke Schenn at the trade deadline, because what they're doing this season has been working so far. Why change what isn't broken?
No, you don't need to. Again, there wasn't a lot of retooling to have to do. And for Kevin Shovel-Dayoff and crew on the GM side, I mean, look, they faced a lot of pressure for the Jets. I'm wondering why aren't these guys getting farther along? But as I've said with you, Alec, over the years, the Jets have had a consistently good core now for a long time. It's just about getting a little bit farther. They've got all the other pieces that you would need. They're a good offensive team. They're not incredible, but they're a pretty good offensive team. They're a way better defensive team that they give them credit for. And Connor Hellebuyck probably the best in the business.
Yes, as he said it, Connor Hellebuyck is one of the best in the league and in between the pipes. And both goaltenders have been sharp through 2 periods between him and Jake Ottinger. We're likely going to see these two competing for the starting spot in the Olympics in 2026. So far, as we read it off, Ottinger is 15 of 16. Hellebuyck is 13 or 14. So far, neither goaltender is giving up an inch. But Winnipeg has been the far more physical team. And it's safe to say, I've been impressed with the way the Jets have been playing this game. They got that big burst of energy from the Scheifele goal. But a common theme has been brought up about what if Dallas, they turn it on by the end of the period. And that was the case again, as not just after the Sam Steele goal. We saw this at the end of the first period, and we saw it again at the end of the second period. Hits aren't their bread and butter, even for Mason Marchman and Leon Bishop throwing the body around. But if you want to look at physicality, look towards the Jets. They're out hitting the Stars 44-19 after 2.
Normally, we can look at stats like that, Alec, and you look at the scorekeepers between home and away. Sometimes those numbers get a little bit inflated. Today is not one of those games. We've seen a combined about 63 hits in between the two. As you mentioned, the Jets have 44. And Alec, in between my eyes and yours, we've seen all 63 of those. This has been a physical, bruising, punishing game.
And we thought that we could have gotten a penalty because there were some moments that we thought there should have been a call right there, but they're just letting the play on. But what's more concerning to me about Winnipeg is not about the hits. It's about Josh Morrissey. The way that he went down didn't look good. And I have a fair questions if he's even going to return to the bench for the third period. I'm expecting him not to, but if he does come back at some point this game or even later down the series, that's going to be a miracle.
Yeah, it didn't look good. Again, it was more of a, when you get that collision in near the right side board, sometimes you get the knee on knee like you would against a baseball wall. You hit something hard, it hurts. Maybe you get something pulled, you feel it a little bit, it's a bruise. Now, in this case, kind of like it was for Jaden Ivey on the Pistons when you get undercut, that's what it looked like when Mikko Rantanen and Morrissey were going to the wall, and we saw Morrissey's right knee bend. That's what it looked like there. He didn't have any other space to give way, and he couldn't put any support on it, as Alec mentioned. So that's why I'm wondering, we'll see if they can work miracles in that third. I don't think it's going to happen, Alec. And even if the Jets do find a way to win this game, they might not have Morrissey back for Game 7.
That might be the same case as they had in the last series against St. Louis. Of course, it's documented about how bad St. Louis was defending the 6-on-5, but Morrissey knows that this injury it does not look good. We're hoping that the injury is not as bad as it initially looked, but miracles can happen.
Yeah, we'll see when it ends up happening, because Nick Paul, several years ago when I thought he was done, and the Lightning ended up losing the Avalanche in 2022, he came back from a knee injury and ended up playing. He looked like the bionic man. I normally wouldn't give a lot of baseball scores in considering, but there isn't any NBA games going on today. I do want to mention this selfishly across the AL Central. Tigers couldn't get any offense going. They lose 2-1 to the Blue Jays, as there was a pinch hit finish off in the mix of Ernie Clement. But you look at it this side for Cleveland, Tigers stay where they are, about 3.5, but that's not what I want to hit. Right now, it looks like the Minnesota Twins are going to improve on their win streak. And when we look at the standings right now, they will gain a game and go to 3.5. They will actually leapfrog the Guardians because they're about to win their 13th game in a row.
That's unbelievable. And the Minnesota Twins, I know most of those wins have come against the Baltimore Orioles in their winning streak. That's 6 wins for them against the Orioles. And now they're on their way to getting another win over the Milwaukee Brewers. They swept the San Francisco Giants in their series, won their last 2 against the Boston Red Sox, and now another win over the Brewers. How in the world is this still happening here for the Twins? We thought that they were going to be left for dead after what happened, but they're on a roll. Ryan Jeffers 4-5 at the plate in this game against Milwaukee, and up against a Brewers team that loves to bring in pitchers that overachieve. Mind you, they've been doing this without Carlos Correa.
Yeah, it's really hard to imagine. Again, the Twins, I don't want to say this lightly, but the Twins are putting a run on that the Tigers were able to do in August and September. Again, it's only May 17th, but let's keep that in mind. But how have they been able to do this? Largely at home. They're 15-6. Again, they're on the road today. That would be just their 11th win. 11-14 on the road, but 15-6 at Target Field. as they'll only be 3.5 back. Again, if it wasn't for the Tigers being 30-16, Minnesota would be in first place. And other scores, you just want to hit those really quickly, and then we can bounce back wherever you want to. But in the mix, Diamondbacks are up 10-6 on the Rockies. Rockies did win a game previous, so they're 7-37. Hopefully they can get to 10 wins before they get to 50 losses, but the 2-21 on the road, I don't even know how that's possible. The Dodgers and Angels, Dodgers have the second best record. It's a 3-3 game against the Angels. And then some finals here for you. Cardinals win 1-0 against the Royals. Rangers win 5-1 against the Astros. Rangers are gaining some ground on the Mariners that have been losing some games. Mariners have the late game. It's a 1-1 in San Diego at Petco.
It's been a seesaw here. And the AL West, I don't know who's going to win it because that's been that's been a hot potato on the division. We can never count the Astros out until the fat lady sings. Because whenever they're right in the mix, you think they're going to start slow. But they're going to speed up at the right time and then make sure that they're back into the AL West conversation. I don't know what the Mariners' plan is, but who knows at this current point. The Mariners, they've been losing some games, but there may still be some time in which they could turn it around. The bats need to continue to show up. It's because so far, their best hitter is J.P. Crawford, who's having himself a bounce-back year. But I'm not going to just shout him out. But Jorge Polanco has been a boon at the third base side for the Mariners. At the 324 batting average. Who saw this coming?
Yeah, when you got him back a couple of seasons ago in the mix from the move from Minnesota, they thought they were going to get a good bat. He's really improved alongside for Cal Raleigh as well, but that's really all that it's been. Like as you said, we know their pitching is always as good as it is. In Houston, I will say this. Still 23-22. We know that they're going to, I agree with you completely. When it comes down the stretch, we always see Houston at the top of the West. It's really hard to live life without Alex Bregman and guys like Kyle Tucker. When you move on from them in the offseason, especially the way Tucker and Bregman have played, but Tucker especially with the Cubs, that really just puts some holes in your lineup, and that's almost impossible to replace players like that.
It's not easy. No matter what you do to make cost-cutting moves, like you bring in Christian Walker and Isaac Paredes, it's just not the same.
And I will say this one last thing for me on the baseball side, because we got about 5 minutes or so left in our intermission before we can switch gears. But for the AL East, again, we talk about the AL Central being 4 teams above 500, which is probably not what we expect. We knew the White Sox were going to be below where they are. But for the AL East, the only team above 500 is the New York Yankees. I did not expect that to start the year.
And we still wonder what in the world happened to the Baltimore Orioles. The pitching didn't really mix in this year. And after last year with Corbin Burns, this year was a sharp drop-off. The bats aren't quicking, and they made the decision to fire Brandon Hyde. And I'm like, you're trying to go for a spark to turn things around. So I know it's still early, but the offense was underperforming. This pitching staff is one of the league's worst. And the defense has been middling. They've regressed in every facet. There are questions about Hyde's long-term future after they were swept in last year's wild card loss to the Royals. They burst into the scene hot after they won 1-1 games 2 years ago. Hyde had a vote of confidence in early May, but then they lost 10 after the next 13. Beyond Gunnar Henderson, Cedric Mullins, and Ryan O'Hearn, there's limited offensive help. And injuries to Jordan Westburg and Colton Cowser are not helping at all.
No, they don't help. And the other thing I will say this, I know they had to mix Eflin, they'll have to be able to bring in, make some cost-cutting moves and this and that. I get it. But we're talking about all these struggles and everything else with the manager and the hitting and the injuries. You hit all those spot on. I can't say it any better. But when you're talking about struggles, it certainly doesn't make it any easier when you get rid of somebody like Corbin Burns.
No. And you also have the fact that Tyler O'Neill, who got a 3-year deal with Baltimore, is hitting 188. Charlie Morton is 0-7, 8.35 ERA. Gary
Oh,
Sanchez is injured a lot. Andrew Kittredge has been on the injured list the entire season. The only productive reliever is Tomoyuki Sugano, who signed for 1 year.
so what you just described to me, Alex, sounds like a complete crime scene for those at Camden Yards in Baltimore, because I'll lay the line down like this. Minus 79 run differential. If you thought about that for Baltimore, again, the only team that's worse is the Rockies, who have doubled up that, but they have the worst run differential essentially in all of baseball, because we can't even count the Rockies.
that is not what you want if you're an Orioles fan. If you not only do you have the second worst run differential in the entire MLB, but also you're barely past the Miami Marlins for the second worst, for the third, right behind them as the Marlins. They have the third worst run differential in the league, and you're just 2 games above the Pittsburgh Pirates for the second worst record in the league among teams not named the Colorado Rockies. Only the White Sox are worse, but at least the White Sox, they have some semblance of future on them. Their prospect pool is developing. The Orioles, I don't know what to do, because this has easily been the most disappointing team in the MLB. Gunnar Henderson, it's not just Gunnar Henderson and Adley Rutschman. It's everyone.
Yeah, they need everything to fix itself, and I don't know if they're going to have time to do it. We have about 5 minutes left here. I did want to go to the hardwood side. We got a Game 7, and before the one that we're going to cover, in between the Leafs and Panthers, and I'm looking forward to that with you. But we have the Thunder and the Nuggets, and I look at the opening lines right now. The Thunder, from what I saw on ESPN, it could be different on some other sites, are a 9-point favorite against Denver. I don't know if I'm comfortable giving up that big of a number. I like the experience on the side of the road. Look, Oklahoma City, they're going to be good for a long time. Denver, their window is right now to try to get this done again. But if I have to play Game 7 and I'm the Thunder, the last team I want to play against is the Nuggets. They got to try to get it done at home.
I do love Denver's experience, which is why I'm saying a 9-point spread head here, that's disrespectful to the Nuggets. I love that the Nuggets are an experienced team that can give the Thunder fits. Any team led by Nikola Jokic can be in it from the start to the very finish. It's not going to be decided by 9 points or more. It's going to be tight, and it's going to come down to who has the ball last. But I also like Oklahoma City's defense. And when it comes down to who I think is going to get the last stop, I trust OKC's defense to deliver. Jokic is going to be Jokic. Everyone else is going to be everyone else, especially Jamal Murray, one of the better playoff risers on the Western Conference. Russell Westbrook is going to do his thing being an energy player off the bench. Aaron Gordon, we don't know if he's going to give it a go or not. We have to wait until game time, because he's a game time decision. Michael Porter Jr., he's been a mixed bag of sorts. Oklahoma City, of course, we know how Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The complete package among guards. Jalen Williams, underrated second option. And you got an electric defensive backcourt duo. We have Luguentz Stort, Cason Wallace that you could utilize off the bench. Each one of these players are defensive-minded players on OKC. It's no accident that they're one of the top teams in the league, and they have one of the best defenses in the league. Mark Daigneault knows what he's doing. So if I were to pick someone to come out in front, it's going to be OKC. And also this crowd, don't forget about that. They're going to be in it from start to finish.
I'd have to agree with you with all the points that you made, especially in the injury with Aaron Gordon and the depth that I looked at Oklahoma City able to employ. They got longer rotations that they can use. Again, I'm looking on the previous game. Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic had to play all but 6 minutes of the entire game. Played quite well for the Nuggets to win 119-107. I think at some point that's got to drain the stamina a little bit and kill the legs. Give me Oklahoma City as well on the road, in which they were 32-8 during the regular season. Winner's going to get the T-Wolves, and I do think the T-Wolves are game for this, but if the Thunder do advance, I'm going to take them to go to the finals, as I think everybody in the world was going to anyway.
Yeah, I think if OKC wins, I'm taking them to beat Minnesota. If Denver wins, I'm taking Minnesota.
It's going to be interesting to see if Minnesota can step up and find a way to the finals, because I know the Knicks did, regardless of the injury to Jason Tatum. They had to fight through the Pistons. I didn't think the Knicks were going to get this far. That Pacers series, good luck with that. That's going to be fun. Some Knicks-Pacers rivalries. I like the Pacers. I think they can get to the finals.
Yeah. You know, I'm going to agree with you. I'm taking the Pacers as well to beat the Knicks in a 7-game series. But now we're getting back. We're Game 6. Winnipeg and Dallas level at 1 after 40 minutes of action. And at this point, with how both goaltenders and both defenses are playing, it could potentially be a next goal win sort of vibe.
It's the type of game and thought process that we've had from 0-0 after 1 to 1-1 after 2. In the mix of Scheifele and Steele, that was such a great moment for Mike Scheifele to score that goal. They're going to need another one. As you mentioned, like both of the goalies have been game for this. The defense in front of them has been excellent. Honestly, it took a big rebound off of Harley's shot from the same spot Svetch scored a couple days ago. And we'll see if we find Morrissey back on the bench as you get set to take it away. But chances probably aren't good for that.
Here we go for the third period. Alec Navajan as Jamie Benn gets shoved towards the near corner beginning this third period. No Josh Morrissey on the ice. He left right after getting tangled up with Mikko Rantanen. Scheifele, career goal number 26 in playoffs, and Harley's deep shot bounced up. Hellebuck was throwing down to try to keep that one out, and he kept the second one out. Picked up by the Jets as Mason Appleton moves up the near side. Scott Arniel starting with his third line out there. Morrissey is not on the bench. Left game after he was tangled up with Rantanen in that second period in which his knee was bent awkwardly. Off the near side, the Stars pick it up and center it up. Ben wanted to move it up, so did Sagan. Bounced up the far side as it's chopped around. Jake Ottinger places one behind. So on the ESPN Bet live money line, Winnipeg's at plus 110 and Dallas is at minus 140. Sandberg picks it up away from Marchment. Pionk moving up for Velarde, but there's tied up in front of Shane. Oh my goodness! How did he not score? And on the near corners, picked up by Duchesne again. Wanting some redemption after that miss. Duchesne goes back for Marchment. Swinging a miss. Keeps it inside. Back around as Sandberg intercepted the pass. And up the far side. This gets moved up by Scheifele. Want to get another emotional moment here. Scheifele rink wide. Back down by Duchesne. Kept alive here by Dallas. And they'll look to play it out again. Up the far boards, deflected up, and the Jets will settle it down. Scheifele retreats. This one off Marchman's stick. DeMello up the near wall, and this will go back for Hellebuck. On the near side, Fleury came out to the Swallowers, played by DeMello. Chopped away out to the near side by Dadonov. Dadonov shot went well wide. Held in by Heiskanen at the right point. Fleury tied up his man. Centered up front, the Jets will pick it up, and they'll move it out. Up the right side, Iafallo. Winnipeg will send this down to the near quarter, where it's Heiskanen who will restart with this. We do not have a power play to speak of between either side, but there were several close calls on the penalty side of things. Up the middle, it is Sam Steele, the goal scorer. Steele, fan on the shot. We'll get it back. We'll get a second chance here. Steele shot, bounced off a body. It'll be collected by Iafallo at the near side. Iafallo will look to break out. This bounced off a Jet, and it will be iced.
We got to get another look at this once they show this on the ESPN side. Shot from Wyatt Johnston. Perfect feed. The shade right out front. What a robbery for Hellebuck because he got the left pad out to deny the left.
How, and we're still in disbelief, how in the world did Hellebuck get all of that one? Full extension, just right by him. Face off won by the Stars, looking to take the lead here at the offensive zone. Harley finds Granlund. Granlund waits. Cross-ice pass, sticked away by Ehlers. Harley gloves the pass down, wants to get back to Heiskanen. Trying to spin out Neil Pionk. Harley will retreat back. Pass is blocked off, and this will go back for center. Harley will restart, moves up through center. Drops out for Granlund. Granlund wants to move around. Granlund, tight shot. Never made it all the way through. And he'll exit out through center, where Harley will pick it up again. Heiskanen. He'll crisscross and move inside for Granlund. Same place. Rope hits, forced back deep. Hits, shoved towards the wall. Winnipeg will move it up for the far side. This one goes past everyone, and Ottinger plays this one behind his crease. And getting shoved towards the wall was Bishop. Hard guy to take down. Up the far side, Dallas has been the aggressor here to start off this period, but here's a takeaway here by the Jets. Cole Perfetti wants the center. Gets pinned towards the near side boards. Dallas wants to take it away but can't. Here's Barron who sends it out towards the point, and a shot never made its way towards the net. Then when DeMello keeps his one inside, Hayden Fleury sends one, walked off by Duchesne. Barron keeps his one inside, back towards the point is Fleury. Then DeMello waits with it, fires his one, bounced off of a leg, and this one kept inside. Iafallo, shut down! And out the near corner, Niederreiter. Niederreiter tried to keep this one, can't. It'll be Jamie Benn, hurried up, and this will be a break here, but it's a little too far. And off the centering pass, Hellebuck again. Duchesne sharp angle, turned away by Hellebuck. Give away in front. Duchesne, another block. Here is Mason Marshman holding the point. Deflection. This one up high and wide of Hellebuck. Sell back down in front. Up in the high spot. Sagan can't handle it. Poke free. Jamie Benn too gets tied up. This is overwhelming. Back out towards the left point, Lindell. Wendell, well wide. And this one through traffic exits out of play.
This game right now is a 12 out of 10, Alec. This pace has been incredible, as you mentioned. A couple of fan giveaways. Duchesne going to be wide open off of a beautiful pass short side. Close out the left pad of Connor Hellebuck. And you know what? Both teams want this. That was some excellent defense from Ehlers earlier. Diving shot block on Harley, and then a one-knee block to take him out of the zone. Just excellent work by both teams.
The type of hockey that Scott Arniel wants to prioritize, that you can account for both ends of the ice, and Ehlers is providing that. 27 in white. The Stars quickly get to the puck off the faceoff. Mason Marchment gets tied up and knocked off the puck. DeMello wants to keep this one out, and he does so on the rush far side. Hayden Fleury as he picks it up. Move to the far side. This one bounced up and grabbed by, what I believe is Adam Lowry as he sends it up for the far side. Jets on the delayed offside. They'll have to retreat, and the Stars will restart for their own zone. Bishop fan on the pass, and the Jets will pick it up. Down the ice. It will be sailed by Petrovic. Up the far boards. The Stars will take this one inside. Mason Marshman first to the puck at the near corner. Gets knocked out by Fleury. Fleury, rink wide on the pass. Bishop will rise to keep this one inside. Fleury cutting off the man that's right behind him. Pionk can't settle this one down as Harley on the hold. Retreats back to the left point. Heiskanen walks the right point, now down low. Towards the right circle. Heiskanen pulls the trigger. Can't get it by Pionk. Pionk sells his one back in front. And here's a 2-on-2 the other way for Winnipeg. Feed for Mason Appleton as he waits. Delays on for Pionk. Pionk holds on. Centering pass. Never made its way towards the net. And the Jets will restart with this. They have 5 defensemen on the ice. That's how they're likely going to be playing with for the rest of this game because of the injury to Josh Morrissey. Sandberg fakes out his man. And up for the far side, Brandon Tanev is ailing on the bench. Mark Scheifele through the middle. Scheifele dancing his way inside. And across the line, sends the one around. Tanev is in serious pain on the bench. On the far corner, Velarde pointing this one down low. For Scheifele, out in front, Connor can't sell this one down. Kyle Connor keeps his hold of this puck. For the near side boards, Brian Free as DeMello keeps this one aside. Off Ottinger. And this will be settled down by Dallas, with Evgeny Dadonov moving it up. He's missed several chances here as he gets dispossessed by Scheifele from behind. Scheifele, as Jason Robertson goes off. Now get Rope Hintz on the ice. Hintz hurries his man up and has moved up the near side for Cole Perfetti. Dallas wanting to get this one back up. Winnipeg trying to force a game 7. Back across this Lindell centering pass was intercepted by Iafallo. And up the other way, the Jets are moving back with numbers. Here is Nikolai Ehlers across the line. Ehlers backhands it down deep off the far corner for Nemestikov. Dispossessed here by Mikko Rantanen. Rantanen takes it one the other way. And here is Luke Schenn to pick this one up. Schenn off the near side wall. And Winnipeg will move back up the other way. Ehlers slowly works his way inside. Knocked away by Duchesne. Duchesne wants to get by Nemestikov. Hayden Fleury chops that one away. For the near half boards. Nemestikov there. Cut out by Duchesne as Pionk is there to help him out. But can't do so as Jamie Benn is on the hold. Back towards the left point is Heiskanen. Heiskanen, shot blocked, and it'll go out of play towards a lucky souvenir.
Now we're going to have to see as we go to commercial break. They did that camera shot as Alec did a tremendous job on the play-by-play of Turbo. Brandon Tanev, he got smoked on the knee with the puck. This has been a bruising game on both sides, not just because of all the hits that we talk about, but the shot blocks as well. Both teams selling out, giving maximum effort. But if the Jets are down a defenseman as they already are with Josh Morrissey, it looks like he's not going to return. And if Tanev also misses some time, you're talking about an extra defense and an extra forward in a game like this. If this game layers on to be a long overtime game, maybe multiple and all that, it's going to really start to be an advantage for the Stars.
It could be. And we do know that if Winnipeg sends this to a Game 7, Tanev could be a game-time decision for that Game 7 if he does not come back for this game. We don't know what the specifics of his injury are, but he was wincing in pain on the bench. So we could be seeing a scenario where either Jared Anderson-Dolan or David Gustafsson could be on standby for a Game 7.
Yeah, that might be what it takes. Again, we'll see how bad Tanev ended up getting messed up on that shot block, because Heiskanen got tangled up with Rantanen, as we said, toward the right side red line, little knee, and I think that's going to at least keep him out for multiple games, if not for anything else, at least for the rest of this game. But for Tanev, especially for a guy in the bottom six, as you mentioned, that does it all on defense, they're going to have to really try to replace that as much as they can. I'm not sure you can do it. You really want to have able bodies this time of year, but honestly, in the Stanley Cup playoffs, Alec, it's just not possible.
Yeah, it might not be. And of course, the lingering question about Morrissey. That's their top offensive defenseman. So that offensive production is going to have to be replaced by Neil Pionk on the top pairing.
Yeah, it will. And it's also going to put more of the onus on the top line as it already is in between Ehlers, who's been good, but you're going to need to see more from Kyle Connor, to be honest with you, if the Jets want to find a way to advance. Just like we talk about the Stars' depth, you're going to need to see one of the big guns, and Connor probably step up as well.
Yeah, Kyle Connor, he has a knack for elimination games, goal-scoring-wise. Misha Donskov, the assistant coach for the Stars, watching outwards as Miro Heiskanen blasts this one wide. Donskov, one of the top assistants on Dallas on Peter DeBoer's team. It could be a candidate for this year's head coaching cycle as DeMello fires this one around for the near-end boards. Collected at the far side by the Jets. Too far there, as Heiskanen can't take this one up. Seguin wants to clear. Can't do so as DeMello. This bounced off his skate and right onto the stick of Jamie Benn. He needs to step up though, but secondary scoring might be there for Dallas. They got one from Sam Steele of all people. Jason Robertson has just 1 point ever since returning from injury as this puck was deflected up onto the mesh.
Yeah, you got Robertson, Ben, Seguin, Wyatt Johnson, who steps up big in Game 7s. We're not at that point. It's a Game 6, 1-1 on American Airlines. But yeah, you're right. You're going to need that secondary goal scoring. You're definitely going to need the secondary goal scoring should these teams advance to the third round.
And Mikko Rantanen, who's part of that Finnish Mafia, he knows how to score goals. He's had a lot of them throughout this postseason run. Too much to count. Dumped in right off of Pionk, and it'll be collected by Dallas at their own zone. Winnipeg want to hold Paquette. And it's a tangle up down the middle. Dylan Sandberg did a good job holding off Jason Robertson. Pionk had to fend off both Marchment, and Wyatt Johnston. Up the middle is Johnston's giving chase to Hayden Fleury, former first round pick with the Carolina Hurricanes, as Scheifele got this possessed of the puck. All the way back is Pionk as he collects up front for Kyle Connor as he waits. Connor will drop back, and he is likely going to take this one up. Connor will flip it for Scheifele. Can't bat it down, but Dallas will take this one up for the near side. Robertson flips this through center. Recollected by Luke Schenn. Schenn through the right side. Almost coughed it up. Scheifele moves it up through the right side. Scheifele breaks by the defense. Scheifele has turned away by Ottinger, who might have got a piece of it. Scheifele's on the hold, delivers it back. Here is Hayden Fleury with a long blast. Ottinger throws it up.
Yeah, he does. They were not able to get the screen out in front of the time. Scheifele almost busted right up the gut there off of this move. He was working forehand. Good back check there for Sam Steele, who has had himself quite a game, Alec.
Yeah, defensively and offensively, he's been everywhere on the ice here. Not only does he have the goal, but he's been active on the back check as he forced Scheifele wide and forced him to miss the shot.
Just toward that right side post. Ottinger was sliding the wrong way. He could have curled that in.
Morgan Barron to take the face off. You have Cole Perfetti out there on the wing as Tyler Seguin, he takes this one. Heiskanen will start up for Ben. Jamie Benn flips it all the way down. And away from Matt Duchene as this is played towards the far side. Turn it over as Winnipeg will walk back in with this and shoot this one around. Heiskanen picks it up away from Perfetti. Spin around pass doesn't work. And Dallas will move this one up through the middle. Heiskanen splits the defense. Heiskanen through the middle. Gets stymied by Fleury right out in front. This never made its way to Hellebuck. For the near half boards. This one played out through center as it's settled down by Ilya Labushkin. as he'll restart with this puck in his own zone. Getting ready to turn this back over to John in about a few seconds. Heiskanen has 2 assists in 3 games played. He missed the last 42 with that knee-on-knee collision with Mark Stone in a regular season game against the Vegas Golden Knights. Sent up for the far side as the Jets take this back across. The shot goes wide. It's play behind Oettinger for Heiskanen as they're trying to break out here. And this will be settled back down by the Jets as they're playing away from Winnipeg. And Thomas Harley will take it up. John, take it away.
So you got about 10:05 left to go in the third. Again, I might get 20 minutes, depending on if this goes to OT, and then we'll close it out between the segments so both of us can close. It's a 1-1 game. Shot board is 20-17 against Scheifele, the hero, a couple of days ago. Will we get a similar goal like that? As this one is just stuck in the left side red line. Rope hints. He's trying to pry it loose. Dallas does finally get it there. Granlund off the spin and turn. He gets all tied up behind the net. Victor Green has the puck. Here's the wrister through the traffic. This one will hit the Jets out in front before it ever hits Hellbuck and go all the way back down the ice. Here's a rolling puck. 9:30 left to go in the third. John Hunter with you alongside Alec Nava. This is a scintillating Game 6 at American Airlines Center. Dallas does have a 3-2 series lead. Jets need to win a game on the road for the first time in 3 years to extend their season. Here's a pass that goes too far for Mason Appleton off the board. Schenn. This has had to elude the referee to go duck for dear life. Picked up now toward the right side red line. Back to D. Here's one more touch pass from Schenn. As this will be looped in the high slot. Sent back in behind the inboards now. Good cutoff there for Thomas Harley. Trying to get some help there alongside Wyatt Johnston. But this puck is staying in the zone with the Jets. Schenn can't find the lane. He's got to go back around for the loop again. Does Mason Appleton. Back at the point, that pass hits too hard. Takes everybody by surprise. Start again with Schenn now across the left side blue line. Good move. Kyle Connor, one more touch pass. Oh, my goodness. It hit the post, and Oettinger was nowhere in the net. And
what?
We get a whistle.
How in the world is Winnipeg not scored there? 1-2. That's 2 passes in which they were going at this. I am in absolute shock. How did Winnipeg not score the go-ahead goal as Mason Appleton moves up? It seemed that it hit the post. Well, no, it doesn't. Jake Oettinger with the save of the game. Are you kidding? He dove from left to right and kept that one out. Oh, my goodness.
He stopped it with the body and the pads. I was so sure Alec got to hit the post because there is no conceivable way a goaltender should make that save. But I should know better because a couple of games ago, we saw that happen where we got a save with the knob of the stick. But Oettinger with the save of the game, probably the save of the series.
That's going to get that crowd energized and cheering his name all around. Mason Appleton, no shame in him. That was the best look that Winnipeg has all period long. But how did they not score there? Well, there's your answer. Jake Oettinger. That's how. What a stick save.
Yes, you get 2 touch passes in the mix from Kyle Connor to be able to set that one over from the middle of the slot to the left to right, right to left. That is exactly what you want to do. The main line is to get the goaltender moving, make him guess, have to make a desperation save. But as you said, Jake Oettinger is just that good, and he keeps this game tied at 1. Again, if not for Jake Oettinger, if not for Connor Hellbuck, if not for some of the defense, but more along the line these goaltenders, this game would definitely not be 1-1.
This could be a 2-1 game had it not been for that save. These goaltenders have been fantastic. Giving you the shot board here through this point in time for 3 periods. Oettinger is 20 of 21. Hellbuck 14 of 15. He wasn't tested a lot in this third period, but he got 1 save out of that sequence. Goaltending has been the story of tonight.
Yeah, because Matt Duchene, for Connor Hellbuck's credit, got absolutely robbed the stretch up the left pad. And then we saw that there, Mason Appleton, still not sure how, and I love those otters there, still not sure how Jake Oettinger would even be able to slide over to make that save. He had to look behind him as the puck is now going the other way. Sent back in behind the inboards, and we'll see if Ottinger's heartbeats not skipping a few extra beats after that tremendous save. I was thinking about overtime maybe in our previous sequence. We'll see now, because with both of these goaltenders, it's going to take the extravagant to beat him, if not a screen. Pionk, then toward the right side. We settle back down and off the move for Aiden Fleury. This one gets deflected. This is just kept in across the blue line. Hard to see because everybody at American Airlines Center is still standing, and I don't blame them. They probably will be through the rest of this game. There's 7:50 left to go in the third. It's 1-1. Again, all of our goals have been in the second period in the mix of Scheifele and Steele. That's it. That's all. That's where we are. Jets need to win a game on the road for the first time to force the game 7 stars when they play the Oilers. That's what's at stake. Sent back in behind the inboards now for Pionk. A little outstretched pass is a pretty good one. Vlad Domestikov trying to turn on the burners. And Jake Ottinger put this in behind the inboards as Vlad just trying to get out of his way. We have not had a penalty yet in this game. Sam Steele now off the drop with the Donov. He's probably due. This one did hit the post. Up high. Robertson lets it go. Another heroic shot block there for the Jets. This time Vlad Domestikov. As this will be an outstretch right in across the Texas D. Jets pick it up. Big flat line toward the left side boards. Is a little bit of an elbow there for Robertson. Gets away with it. I will say this during the live play-by-play, Alec. If we do get a power play, I imagine the first team that gets one scores. That's my rubber stamp tonight. As this will be sent the other way now for Appleton. Picked up off the flip. This is closed off 50 off the shot block. It hit Adam Lowry inadvertently. Now Lowry trying to find it. He gets his stick taken out of his hands. Now did Mason Appleton. And we'll press on. The Moose. We'll go ahead and try to put this one toward the right side red line. Wyatt Johnson off the pin. That was good puck move by the Jets. Otherwise, it would have been stolen. Mason Appleton off the rush. Elects for the pass. This one cut off by Dallas. Worked in toward the right side of the Jets zone. Back pass from Appleton a little bit too far. As we get another bone-crushing collision near the right side glass. Looks like Tanev was able to get some ice on him. He's back out there right now. And I know his knees probably still bother him. Not as much as Morrissey, but probably still. Sent back in behind the end boards now. As this will be picked up away. Niederreiter watches this one go over. And this one goes over the glass. 5:56.
Still no penalty. But still, our missed penalty counter is still at 4 missed penalties here. Not counting the one in which it was about to be called when Mark Scheifele was going to score. And Evgeny Dadonov has to feel sick to his stomach. He's missed 2 chances in the first period, and he's hit a goalpost here on a seeing eye shot from the near half boards that rang off the top of the post and off the crossbar. Not sure which one, if he hit the crossbar first, but still, he's got to be feeling sick because he's had all these chances and he's still getting snake bit.
Yeah, I don't mean to laugh at the Donov when I laugh there, and I know everybody means that, but Alec is exactly right. He's been in the middle of the slot. He's forced steals. Hell, he shot that from the left side point almost and kissed the left crossbar when there was no space to shoot there, and he still almost thread the needle through, which I don't know how he did as we go to break. But yeah, you're right. Definitely say that he's due. And at some point, I won't blame anyone if they choose to pick Dadonov as the overtime hero.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame them because he's been getting a lot of looks. Dallas has been getting a lot of looks in this third period. Winnipeg has been getting a lot of looks in this third period. They've had their fair share of chances, but it's been mostly the goaltenders and the defenses that have been sharp in this 1-1 game. And if either one of these 2 goaltenders were to be named 2 of the 3 stars of this game, it all makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I think you have to. Those are already 2 locks in the mix of your 2 or 3 stars. I agree with you there completely. And for Winnipeg and Dallas, as Alec mentioned, it's 1-1. I'm looking at a baseball score really quickly. The Colorado Rockies have scored 3. That one is 11-11, so we'll just add some extra runs there in the 7th.
Oh, who would have expected this from the Rockies right after they fired Bud Black?
It's against the Diamondbacks, too, so that is a big one. We'll monitor more of this as we go across. We've had so many hits. We've had so many incredible defensive plays. This, Alec, as I mentioned this before, this game has been about a 12 out of 10. We're just waiting for the other heroics. Now in the setup now for DeMello. There's an absolute bomb for Kyle Connor and off the move, but that one goes up and on a play.
That almost looked like Austin Matthews' goal in Game 6 against Tampa 2 years ago, in which he kept his legs moving, set himself up for the one-timer at the top of the right circle, and made himself available. Got himself into open space on the feed towards the right side. It worked for a moment, but the Stars defense gave him almost nothing in front.
5 goals this postseason for Scheifele, 39 in the regular, second most of his career. Scheifele getting a chance to do battling with Granlund on the draw. This one off the tie-up. Who's it going to go to? Bounces off some sticks and legs. And here emerges Granlund. We'll try to flub this one ahead. And offsides are the Stars by a mile.
That wasn't even close. Granlund thought that his teammate was ahead and got his foot onto the line. And his teammate anticipated that he was going to dump it in as soon as he entered the zone. But that wasn't the case. It's a miscommunication between the two teammates.
We are about 3.5 minutes away from the Svechnikov hero play from a couple of nights ago. Alec, do you think we see that again?
I'm not sure. With these two goaltenders playing lights out, it's going to come down to who blinks first. And I think that this may be an overtime sort of game.
That's what I said a couple of nights ago, but I will double down with you now. I do think we will get that. And it's going to take something special. Again, a screen, an extravagant play. It's going to have to be something dirty or something special to score against these guys. They've been at the top of the game. Just Scheifele and Steele, I'll tell you about in a second. 5:20 left to go in this third. Jets, 3-on-2. Off the rush. I follow. And he missed the net. If he was going to get his LA Kings above there, but he missed the net. That one went above the net, behind, and now Heiskanen now off the rush. He's got speed. He goes short side. This one closed up by Hellebuck. It's centered dangerously across the blue paint at Duchesne. Off the drop, here's Ben from the point. That one is wide. That's the Lindell now for the former Colorado Ave and Matt Duchesne. Again, that was a buyout for Jim Nill. He's been so special since he's been a Stars uniform. Mason Marchman off the pin. Strong body stays with it now. Duchesne. I'll play a back pass. This one is stick to side. Somebody's without a stick. That's one of the Jets. Here's a long wrister. Good block. Winnipeg so excellent on the end. Gaining across the red line. Might as well take some changes for both squads, as this will be sent back in around for Cody Ceci. 4:25 left to go in the third. Next goal wins territory. That's where we are. As it's a 1-1 game, 22-16 on the shot board. Winnipeg's got that advantage. They're trying to go left to right. And the road whites in the mix of the blue striping, Dallas in the victory green with the black pants, as this will go the other way. Dallas able to check up because Winnipeg was offsides. That's the Lindell's pass. And alongside was Ceci, spinning around the glass. Haven't had a stoppage in a while or as much of an icing, no penalties. This has been a fast-paced game. It's been excellent on all facets. Nice backhand move for Barron of all people. That one was forced into play at the goal mouth, but then his rebound attempt went wide. Goes back in now for Winnipeg. Now for an opportunity for DeMello. Long outstretched pass from 50. Good hand-eye coordination for Lowry. Lowry off the spin and turn. He's going to have to force a pin, try to keep this puck alive. And now Victory Green will try to get this one from right to left. 3:20 left to go in the third. Here's a race and off the drop now for Robo. Just lurking behind the inboards. There's still an avert stick toward the right side. Backhanded save there by Hellebuck right at the post. Sam Steele line back out there again, making havoc happen. This is a rolling puck off a one-on-one. Started again here for Winnipeg. Outstretched pass, not a good one in the midst of a change. As Granlund trying to keep this on now for Steele. Steele gets the puck. They'll just reverse ice toward the left side red line now for Granlund. Mikko Rantanen. In behind the cage. It's really hard to dispossess the most of the puck. He's got some excellent hands and a strong body. Beautiful spin pivot. Rantanen now looks for a seam pass for Miro. That one way too hard. Miro plays off the backboards. Rantanen wide open. He shoots. This one blocked. Dallas at the line. Where is it? Hellebuck looks behind him and stays out. There was a massive humanity of Jets. It's not out though. Heiskanen now in above the line. Take a breath.
Oh, what did we just witness? Miro Heiskanen and Mikko Rantanen had chances to get the go-ahead goal in the third period and prove to both of us wrong in terms of, oh, this game's going to overtime. Nope. Well, the game is still alive thanks to Connor Hellebuck. And off the net front, this puck bounces over Vladislav Namestnikov as he was trying to get towards the net and cash this one in. Heiskanen turned away blocker side on by Hellebuck. And Hellebuck, he was fighting through several screens towards the front and kicks out a puck from Michael Granlund's shot. This is insanity, John.
Yeah, he's down and out. There's a rifle of a shot that goes behind the net. That was a backhanded grab for Granlund. If he could have shot that one effort, he might have scored. That gave enough for Hellebuyck to slide over in a full snow angel sprawl. As this goes the other way, 2:05 left to go in the third. These goaltenders have been terrific. They're way past their A+ game at this point. That's why you talk about two of the best in the business. And again, you throw Freddie Anderson in that same conversation. But you play at this pace, it's really difficult to deal with, especially when you got these type of goaltenders that are saving everything. As this goes the other way now for Nick Ehlers toward the left side red line. Here's a force against the boards against Mason Marchment. Try to pop back up as Nealers. Adam Lowry try to get this out of his own zone. And alongside for Harley, Mason Appleton now in toward the right side dot. This will be a drop. Pick up now for Dylan DeMello. 1:25 left to go in the third period. Beautiful seam pass right up the middle from Tanev. As this will be off the drop. Here comes the rocket. This one blocked. Stars, if they hurry, they could get something, but they're on the edge of a shift. It looks like Wyatt Johnson's going to peel back for Peter DeBoer's squad. Another out seam pass here for the Jets. It is Jake Ottinger slowly from right to left. As to Lindell, down to the final 60 seconds. Essa, drop right at the net. It's deflected over the net from Rope, hits his stick blade. Miro Heiskanen now toward the left side dot. Rope trying to get some inside out positioning. Dallas all of a sudden looking dangerous. Here's a nice sauce pass. Heiskanen walks in. This shot blocks it off the Stars. Doesn't hit Hellebuyck. Now and across the Texas D. Down to 35. Here's a seam pass across, blocked by the Stars. Sent back in now behind the end boards. Winnipeg does not elect to shoot. They'll go D to D. Just kept in at the line for Winnipeg. Jets. Broken stick, battling it for position now. Here's a race, a semi-break, a trip. Are we going to have a penalty shot? With 15 seconds is the question, but a tripping call for sure.
Isn't that man against Sam Steele? It could have a shot to put the Stars up by one here, 14.8. And what a bad moment for Mark Scheifele as he had to prevent Sam Steele from getting on the break. No, it's a penalty!
It's just a standard trip that we got here right now. Scheifele going to go to the box. He did get positioning there on Steele. I think Steele, honestly, Alec, if he had another stride, he would have gotten a penalty shot.
Yeah, he could have, would have, and should have, but instead it is their first power play of the game, and it comes at the 59:46 mark of the third period. Our missed penalty counter was now at 5 because of a missed call that Stars fans didn't like. But finally, the patience pays off, and the team that's leading the postseason in power play goals has a chance to ice this series here.
Well, I said this in my opening side of the 10. I'm going to let you jump in a minute. I said first power play call. Whoever gets it's going to win the game. We'll see what happens. Ian, you're joining in. What are your thoughts?
Sorry, I missed this entire broadcast. I didn't know you guys were covering this one, but that's okay because I came in at apparently the most exciting point of this thing besides the 2 goals that were scored. Wow. So even if Dallas doesn't get this, they're going to have 1 minute and 46 seconds of power play, and you can just see Mark Scheifele looking just... He looks like a man defeated right now.
Harley.
I don't mean to laugh, but it's like, buddy, we've all been there. We know
Harley
what that
at the
is.
point for Johnson, as this goes for Mikko Rantanen, got to shoot it down to 1 second. They will not get any shots in that 14. And now we'll see if the refs want to have any other pushing and shoving they need to separate. I don't think so. Scheifele able to exit the box. He's going to have to go right back in. Alec, we will indeed get the overtime we've been thinking about.
This game is everything. And I love this game for every reason that it is provided. It's not the scoreless game between Edmonton and Vegas in Game 5 in which Vegas quenched it, and which Edmonton quenched it thanks to Kasperi Kapanen of all people on the tuck-in. But still, both goaltenders have been excellent and they've been playing their hearts out. We could be seeing a preview of Team USA scrimmages in preparation for the Olympics once the final rosters come out. We imagine that Hellebuck and Ottinger are going to play a huge part. That we imagine Kyle Connor and Jason Robertson could play a huge part of roster construction for Team USA in the Olympics. So whoever one of these two heroes emerges may have an early statement for team minutes on Team USA squad.
Yeah, and again, we know both of the goaltenders are going to be getting a lot of practice because they've had their A game. Ian, you're just getting a chance to catch you up here. Again, just the only goals in the second period to tell you about him. Scheifele, who had a really good chance out in front of the net, split the 5-hole off the rebound for Ottinger and deposit. And then Sam Steele, a rebound from the same spot that Spetch scored a couple days ago from Carolina. Gets right out in front for Sam Steele to finish that one off in the middle of the slot. But all told, the defense between both of these, I'm talking about the hustle, the stick blades, all the blocks, everything has been A+ between both squads. In the third period, you had Matt Duchene get robbed off a full sprawl and alongside Connor Hellebuck. And then Jake Ottinger, off a chance from the slot from Connor, sends it all the way across for Mason Appleton, going from the slot from left to right. Gets absolutely robbed by Jake Ottinger, who has to look behind him and make a leapfrog save. The goaltenders have been at their best. The defense has been at their best. This game has been one of the very best that we've been able to call so far in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yeah, wow. Winnipeg fighting for their lives. I expected something like this. Actually, no, I didn't expect this. I expected a tight game, but not 1-1 through 3 periods. Not with both goals coming in just the second period. I mean, wow. And then to top it all off, you're going into overtime. Mark Scheifele making a very crucial error on. I get it. You're trying to stop a breakaway, but you might have just sounded the bell on your team's season unless the penalty kill comes up clutch. But again, and yeah, I mean, wow.
We'll have to figure that out because you might be right. I guess the one thing I would say, Alec, the only thing for Scheifele is Sam Steele's probably been one of the most dangerous Dallas Stars that we've had in this entire game. And that's saying a lot on the fourth line as he's gotten a goal. I just want to have one more reset and then Alec can jump in. So the shot board is 23-17 for the Jets. The hits are 52-26, so 2-1 on the other side for the Jets. And the face-offs 31-18 for the Stars. We've only had one penalty. Scheifele's got another minute 46 if that's to be killed. But the one last thing was standing for everybody. Shot blocks 35 total. Jets lead there 20-15.
That's the one thing that I want to pop out here. The shot blocks have been the most crucial part of this game. And while Winnipeg, of course, that's no surprise with their defense, Dallas, that too is no surprise to defense. We speak of goaltending, but defense has been a huge part this game. 17 overtime games in this postseason. This is the 5th time this has happened in the conference semifinals, split between all 4 series. But this is the first that this has happened in this series between Winnipeg and Dallas.
So again, I've been seeing this on the ticker. Now we got some time in the OT because Alec and I have already had some spirited discussions all the way across the board for NHL. We kind of set the scene for the NBA Game 7 as well. But Ovechkin, 1 more year on his 5-year deal. He's going to get set to return, Alec. I know he'll get set to return after the loss from the Carolina Hurricanes. We'll see how far that they can go. But I think, you know what, honestly, for Ovi, I would say standard, probably another at least 30-plus from him as far as a goal season again, wouldn't you say?
I would say the same thing. It's an easy bit of business, crossing 900, just extending your goal record. And then see where you go from here. What do you want to retire after next season or give it another go with this core? But either way, the decision is up to him. Just play out the rest of this contract and then the decision is his.
Again, tomorrow we will be back here with you about a 7:45 Eastern puck drop start. We'll be on the air probably about 10 minutes beforehand, though, between the Cats and the Leafs. I know Ian was mentioning some of the things he couldn't believe in this game. I said it to Alec. I didn't think that there was any chance in any sort of world that Toronto would bounce back after a 6-1 to win a 2-0. But now they go to Game 7. Maybe that's like the Leafs. Maybe it's not, because we've seen that before. But I don't know what to expect from Toronto tomorrow, Mr. Nava, but I hope that some at least point for them that they can find a way to channel whatever they did in Game 6, and they got to repeat a lot of that in Game 7, if not all of it.
As they say, records are meant to be broken. Of course, people can point out about how they and the Avalanche not winning a Game 7 in 20-plus years. Eventually, you got to think that's got to end at some point. At least the Avalanche, they can trade their Game 7 losing streak for Stanley Cup. Toronto, at some point, this has got to end, right? But with a head coach like Craig Berube, you can be motivated for Game 7. He sent a simple message, and to keep it on the terms of simplicity, no pun intended, the message was, just keep it simple. And that's the name of playoffs. Just keep it simple. Nothing too complicated, nothing too fancy. It's the little things that matter.
Especially in a Game 7. And you're right, it's all brass tacks for everything for all these coaches and all that. You got to be able to do that. You got to be able to run your game plans. You got to be able to take the space that's out in front of you, because the spectacular, all the extracurricular moves, all the things that can get you in trouble, you got to table all that. When it's Game 7, it's about taking the space and everything in front of you and not doing any more. You got to do less sometimes, and that's probably what's going to have to take in order to try to win tomorrow. I'm still wondering what's going on with Big Bob, as we say. He takes that hit toward the left side post and that collision with Sam Bennett. I do think Joseph Woll will get the start again. He's earned that throughout round 2. But if Toronto does advance, I think Anthony Stolarz will be available to them by the time they get to round 3.
And that brings up the interesting dilemma about who starts between them. But we both agreed that it's going to be Joseph Woll, because he's earned that crease with his play over the last few games. He shook off the rust that was early, but Game 6 may have solidified his crease for the time being. His first career postseason shutout came in an elimination game. The last time a Maple Leafs goaltender has recorded a postseason shutout in an elimination game, you have to go back to the 2002 Conference Finals. Cujo did so in Game 5 for the Leafs.
It's a long time ago. Again, former member of Leafs, Wings, all that. I've seen that with Dominik Hasek and know exactly what he could bring. And Joseph Woll has been big time. I think he's a pretty good goaltender from what they've shown. I know we're getting close to this right now as far as picking OT heroes. Whether or not this extends to a double or triple, you don't have to make new selections if you don't want to, and I won't hold it against you. I'm going to let you gentlemen go first. Alec, why don't you lead us off? I know you'll be closing if I don't get a finisher in the first 10 minutes. Tell me your winner on both teams.
All right, for Winnipeg, I've been having it in so many different ways. But, to complete the story, I don't believe Scheifele's going to score the winner, but he's going to get the primary assist on the winner. I think the winner's going to be scored by Kyle Connor, who gets his third playoff OT goal for the Jets. And for Dallas, the easy answer may be Evgeny Dadonov, but I'm gonna go with Michael Granlund to score the OT winner for Dallas.
What say you, Ian? Give me one on both sides.
Let me see. From Winnipeg. Man, I don't know. I don't really know much, so I'm gonna have to go with one of the boring. Or
you can take the big names.
Yeah. Kyle Connor for the Jets, and you know what? I'm sticking with the one from the Avalanche game that went to OT. I'm gonna go with Matt Duchene.
Okay, so we got in the mix of Granlund and Duchene. On the other side, we got 2 for KFC. I could triple up on some KFC. I know they had the double down sandwich. I don't know about the triple down. I'm not going to go there, though. I'm going to go with Nick Ehlers. He's been hot throughout this series. I think someone's got to take him there. Give me Nikolai. And on the other side, whether it's easy or not, I got to go with some depth scoring here. I want to see it happen. I know it's not a Game 7, but he's just sitting there ripe for the pick. And give me Wyatt Johnston.
He's got 4 goals already. I know he's much better than a minus 13, but the offensive talents are there with Wyatt Johnston. I'm surprised that nobody has said Evgeny Dadonov yet, but Matt Duchene, I feel that's a logical pick. He may be due for a 2 because he has 5 assists and no goals so far in the postseason.
And let's be fair, as we mentioned it, Alec, and alongside, there's a lot of Dallas Stars who are due to score goals.
Yep, it's not just Duchene. It's not just Dadonov. You may be thinking of the likes of Jason Robertson looking to find the back of the net. Sam Steele was finally due to find the back of the net. You even have depth scoring all around to find the back of the net. And Alex Petrovic, of all people, already has a goal for the Stars.
Yeah, there's a lot to do. Again, we talk about Ben, Sagan, Johnston, Robertson. Those are the big ones that you want to see. That's what they're going to need if they go ahead and advance against the Oilers here. I'm not sure what type of jacket PK Subban's got right now, but he's getting roasted. It's like it's set to go to break.
I guess, I don't want to quote Daft Punk, but he's up all night to get lucky.
That's what it looks like. He's definitely on the disco side of the ball. Let me go ahead and give you a look at some TOI sometimes we'd like to do for time on ice. Again, it's going to be a lot more for Winnipeg, to pick up the slack because Josh Morrissey has not played since that knee collision there alongside Mikko Rantanen toward the right side of the loop. You got that Ben back. He's going to be stuck at 14:56. Right now, the leading edge time is Neil Pionk at 23:45 and Dylan DeMello at 23:39. That's got the biggest edge time for the back end. On the other side, Thomas Harley, Alec, that comes at no surprise. He's leading all Dallas defense with a staggering 24:41. That's going to continue to improve. The biggest on-ice time for forwards for Dallas, 23:08 for the Moose. And in the mix for the Jets, pretty good balance here. But I got 20 minutes on the other side to lead forwards here for Kyle Connor, about 20:25.
That's no surprise for both superstar forwards, Kyle Connor and Mikko Rantanen. And Rantanen, of course, he's getting put on every line as Peter DeBoer trusts him as an all-situations forward on offense. First line, out there. Second line, out there. It may be the boon of having to deploy 11 forwards and 7 defensemen. But when you have that situation, you're giving the priority to your top players. And that includes Rantanen, who's played on the top 3-4 line so far. He's played next to Granlund and Hintz. He's played next to Wyatt Johnston. He's played next to Jamie Benn at times.
So we don't have a ton of time left, about 1:55, but we do have one of those numbers shot out that Alec and I mentioned, but I really want to punch this back home, especially for Ian, who's got the pick for Matt Duchene. Matt Duchene's had one of the best performances that I've ever seen in the circle right now. He's 14 of 16 on the draw by himself.
That is impressive for him as he was inserted onto the face-off die. He's their primary face-off man on the second line. 14 of 16, that's no joke. And if you want to get a clear face-off win, your second line's your go-to line if you're the Dallas Stars.
And that's what you're thinking of, especially with 1:36 on the power play as we're going to get set to start this OT. We got our winners all squared away, and that's going to be able to start with puck possession, in which the Stars have been a very, very good face-off team. Really the second best face-off team in the playoffs, and besides for Toronto, that was number 1. I'm looking on this other side of the score line here to see if the Rockies can get a win before we get to the end of our OT. They currently lead 13-11 against the Diamondbacks in the 8th.
That doesn't seem real at all. That the Rockies are up on the Diamondbacks on the 8th inning, right after they had one of the worst starts ever known to man. And they're coming back on them in one of the high-scoring games of the MLB season. It's just 2 months in.
Absolutely.
Well, we all know they're going to choke in the end and get another loss in the column. Next.
If you score that many runs, I certainly hope they don't, because I never root for that, but you're probably right. That would be so backbreaking. We're going to get settled this for about another 25 seconds as we look into Jake Ottinger.
Yep, as both goaltenders, they're readying up. They were locked in all throughout throughout the regulation periods. And now in the overtime period, it comes down to who blinks first. And Dallas has a minute 46 of carryover power play time from the first power play of this game.
So I'm going to take this first half, should we need it, and then Alec will close, and we'll continue to switch off into the bullpen here, see what we get. This is Dallas's best chance right now, as they got power play time and a fresh sheet of ice. Winnipeg's got to kill this in order to extend their season to Game 7 and try to win it. If not, they're done, and Dallas is going to play the Oilers. That's what's at stake. Wyatt Johnston's the first power play of the game when it comes to OT. Duchesne, near the right side, he'll take a back pass. It's wide open. Miro Heiskanen, high slot. Mikko Rantanen. Now it goes to Miro. Matt Duchesne to the left side down. High slot Heiskanen. Ripping with a Rantanen bomb on a 1T. That was a heck of a save for Hellebuyck. We're going to hit him in the mask. That was at 83 miles an hour. Miro Heiskanen gets the stop from the Otter. And they'll look to get their entry again from left to right, what they want to do in this OT. Sudden death, that's where we are. We were waiting for OT, and we got it. Picked up now from Rantanen. Duchesne hits. Oh, my goodness. He fanned on a wide open chance toward the right side. And you don't ever see him miss a chance like that. It's like the net was moving on him. Rope toward the right side goes all the way down. And the Jets will get a self-clear because Dallas missed a pass. Picked up now for Miro Heiskanen. 25 seconds left to go on the power play. I said the first one to give one would score. I'm 20 seconds away from being wrong. Wouldn't be the first time. Sent back in behind the end boards. This is saved by the stick shaft to Hellebuyck. As it goes to the left side. Red line. Scores! It's Harley! They eliminate Winnipeg!
Just like that, it's over. And what they say about storylines, normally they don't come with happy endings about what happens around the narratives and all of that. Normally, sentimental stories don't usually come with happy endings. And this was another one of those cases. Dallas with an overtime win, and Mark Scheifele is just hanging his head low. He's had it tough over these last few days. Man, that's gotta hurt for him because we don't know what happens if he doesn't take that penalty. What happens if Sam Steele gets a penalty shot? We don't know about hypotheticals, but that one-timer was a rocket from the top of the slot. What a pass from Tyler Seguin to Thomas Harley to roof that one past Connor Hellebuyck. And all the narratives. And we have ourselves a rematch of last year's Western Conference Final. Buckle up, everyone.
Yes, we do, Alec. Again, I'm not going to point any fingers on Scheifele because he's the one that scored the first goal to give them a chance. I will say this for the Jets, a man down or not with Scheifele, that's a blown assignment. He's all alone in the middle of the slot to tee that one up.
Yeah, but you know what? It's ironic how it ends. The first goal scored by the Blues against the Jets was a puck high off the shoulder of Connor Hellebuyck. And Winnipeg's season ends with a goal scored from a puck high off the shoulder of Hellebuyck.
I gotta tell you, as we're getting this look right now, even I was getting misty eyes, and this is classy here for Jimmy Benn. Even on the side for Scheifele, when it got ugly the other way, Alec, it's a full embrace from Scheifele and Ben there as he was embracing his teammates after. And that it's very, very, very classy from the Dallas Stars.
It is. This is not your normal handshake, guys. Not handshake. It's just handshake and hugs and embraces right afterwards because of what Scheifele has been through these last 24 hours. It's an unexpected turn of events. I feel Scheifele's pain right now.
Yeah, and you know what? The Star, guys, how can you not love hockey? You could kick the ever-loving crap out of your opponent on the ice for the entire game, but as soon as things get serious, you realize it's just a game. But life is still real.
Yes. and I would say more than any other sport, Alec. That's not dehumanizing anyone else. Hockey, family, everything else. I know that there's a lot of other things that we see on social media that you and I and everyone else will document. But this is what it's all about at the end of it. These are all guys at the end of the day. Their parents, like I said, you go up to the rink. You're lucky to be able to do that. You get those hard nights in the mornings. You play for this. You do everything. This is what embodies everything in the handshake line. To be able to do this for Scheifele and alongside his team, to be able to score a game, to be able to score a goal in this game, to play in such a critical moment. Winnipeg, I know they went winless on the road again. It's going to be 3 years in which we talk about it. This was the best road game they played.
It was. And it's such a shame that it had to end like this. On a bomb off a missed assignment at the front. And, you know, it sort of fits about the narrative about how everything comes full circle, because last year, Dallas eliminated Colorado's season on a double overtime goal from Matt Duchene. This year, they eliminate Winnipeg's season on an overtime goal from Thomas Harley. So it's the 1 year anniversary of Duchene's double overtime winner on Colorado, as noted up by Stars play-by-play announcer Josh Bogorad. So it kind of is a full circle moment.
Third straight conference final for this up-and-coming juggernaut, I should say, if not already. All Dallas needs to do is close it off. But yet, as we say with Toronto, they would have to win tomorrow for this to happen, as the Stars get to salute their fans. But reminder here for Dallas, they're only halfway done.
Yes, the journey's not over. You have to go by Edmonton again, but this time you think that this is going to be much closer than what we saw last year, because last year we don't know what happened to the Stars after Game 3, because it looked like the Stars had the advantage, and then the Oilers, they just locked in from there on out. And now we have a rematch. We could expect this to go. We're running out of surprises here, but we expect this to go to full 7 games.
So, gentlemen, in terms of rather than the usual predictions of just the teams, I'm going to lay this on you. What do you think will prevail? DeBoer's legacy of failure, or at least in the Western Conference, Canada's cup drought?
That's a great question by you, Ian, and I'm having a tough time throwing the dartboard on the wall, because as good as Edmonton is up and down the board, I do think Dallas is better equipped to play those games up and down the ice and play defensive hockey. Now, that narrative does not happen, Mr. Nava, if Dallas doesn't get the secondary goal scoring that has been sorely lacking. But I will say, if you have to ask me today, Canada's cup drought, but only on the western side, because Toronto could alleviate that tomorrow. Could is the key word. I do think Dallas is the better equipped team to go to the cup final.
I know we said this last year between these two of Dallas and Edmonton, but still, I think Dallas and Edmonton again. Of course, there are no more surprises at this stage of the Stanley Cup playoffs. In this rematch, I know the Oilers, they have the pieces again to give the Stars a scare, and we can expect this to go to full 7 games in that regard. But Dallas has the pieces up and down the lineup, and this could be Mikko Rantanen's Conn Smythe Trophy to lose at this point, unless Connor McDavid has a say in that.
I will say this to your point, Alec. Alongside that secondary goal scoring for Dallas, in that series that Edmonton was just able to win, they did not have goal scoring explosions from McDavid or Draisaitl. So they're probably due as well. So that should be a lot of fun in a few days.
You look back to Game 6 of last year, which McDavid scored perhaps the best goal of the entire playoffs. There's just no stopping that.
So I will see you gentlemen back tomorrow. Make sure you get a good night's rest, because I imagine Toronto's going to play much better than they did in Game 5. If they play the same way from Game 5 and Game 7, our broadcast is going to get a heck of a lot more hilarious, maybe downright scary on some of the things that we might say. So I'm hoping the best for Toronto, because we know the Cats are going to bring their best.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely. But you know what? I'm signing it. I'm signing it, gentlemen. The Maple Leafs and the Canes in the Eastern Conference Finals. I am signing that warrant, whether it be death or not. I am. Dang it, Leafs! Do it, please do it, because the laughter that will be had will be prolonged and genuinely. You know what? You know what it will be? It will be Ace Ventura exercising the demon.
I am your confidence. I'll tell you that. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to sign off. Ian, I'm not holding you to it, by the way, because, again, I'm going to treat you like a best friend, just like Alec. You've been in these enough. I'm not holding you to that prediction. All we can guarantee you tomorrow is if Toronto has another one of those performances they have in Game 5, the roasts are going to be hot, and you're going to need to bring the marshmallows. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
I hope I'm there.
You better punch your ticket, because you know Alec's going to be there. We're going to be calling it. We can't miss that one tomorrow.
It's must-watch action.
We'll see it.
Absolutely.